the idea of gender, which is done, which is
hey.
Butler's position, which is this idea of
Be
performativity.
back.
And performativity is
Thanks for all being here. Really
misrepresented
appreciate it.
as performance in terms of acting.
We are going to jump into our
it's to perform a
our
task.
all black
So
everything panel here.
Performs an operation.
It'll be fun.
Plays games. A gamer
I don't know.
is a
I'm
gamer.
already tired.
Oh,
I don't want to go to bed. But you know, gotta get up.
Is an extent
Gotta responsibilities and stuff. But I would really like to be in bed right now. But anyway, hey, Maid Kev, how are you? Thanks for being here. Comfy. Oh, hello, Comfy. It's nice to see you again.
Really important to remember is that Judith Butler says that there is no I.
Oh, okay. Nice to, yeah, I'm glad you enjoying things. Noxolid. Yeah, surprising, right? But GOP, I don't know how to, but GOP.
I mean, that's like a very
if one day you make panels in the morning or in the afternoon, you can count me in.
like a really human identity.
Doubtful, but
yeah. So
I tried doing like a different time zone. Like literally one time and it fucking destroyed me.
I think
it was, it's very difficult. How many people are on this panel? I don't know. You'll find out. War Talk. I think you'll be here. Idol. This panel is a lie. How can it be all black? Everything when I can see colors on the screen. Checkmate, atheist. There you go. You got me. That was a good one. Ace, yo, hey. Oh, this is my favorite night. That's awful kind of you.
So we're talking
you can double the speed on the VOD. Oh, yeah, there's that. What up, what up, A. Clark? Nova Rose and Next Bike. Best show. Oh, that's really kind. It's really kind of you guys. I know, I'm just lacking energy right now. But not going to stop us from putting on a good show, or at least an adequate show. That's my goal. Not necessarily good, but adequate. So
I had more.
There you go.
It's gonna keep recurring. So I mean, this is
blah.
I've seen some more bits of this, but this is gonna become a core issue. Is I identify as a woman, therefore I am a woman, or a woman who identifies as a woman. Is that a logical
whereby?
And I saw RPO
okay.
Quick maths.
That's done.
To
we're
demonstrate
going
what it is that she was saying with that.
How to do it.
And I didn't either didn't understand or didn't agree with.
Thank you for the follow.
I'm not sure which
and
what she was doing there.
See if people have gathered. If not, this will be awkward.
Don't have like a.
All right.
Well,
there we go.
I'll be interested to see it when it comes up. I think
cops here.
Oh no,
hey, Venom.
Hey,
you're gonna ruin all the fun, like usual, Prime. Oh my god.
Yeah, goddamn.
I was just making fun of Venom Jesus. I didn't even get to set up the full joke yet.
Haha.
I don't know. I don't think it's the strongest.
But Venom, what I think is going on is you're used to the smog, so you see straight through it. But on camera, we see it.
Yeah, actually wild for that.
It's like night vision. Like you can't see in the dark for a little bit, and then over time you start like
you get used to it. But we're not, because we're in America.
Because I'm not sure what the
yeah, we're on right now, by the way, apparently, because
yes,
Officer Prime just didn't tell us, but I think he was trying to. Be
but you guys continue talking about whatever. That doesn't get me.
Yeah, as soon as you say that, you make it harder.
It's just the usual, you know.
Oh, the first
it's just
episode
it's just
of
classism over my camera, and you know,
the first episode of the Woody Allen documentary dropped.
Okay, yeah.
If you had any doubts that about any of his allegations, they're making a documentary on it.
I don't care, man. I'm still gonna enjoy Manhattan, and
it's just gonna make it a little bit harder. Okay.
I see. I think there's a lot of Static, right?
Yeah, static from your mic. Yeah.
One sec.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Yeah, what if he didn't fix it? What if he's like, yeah, I know.
What you gonna do about it?
Be like that, guys.
There's a meet. Wait, have you guys seen the video?
Keyboard warriors.
Probably have to impose sanctions.
Oh no! Don't bring this up.
Oh my
That's
God.
not.
Don't even. Oh my God, Leo. I still can't believe you said you are siding with this.
Oh, we actually
I
have
have my opinion.
we actually have panel lore. A fucking bill I was bitching about like months ago finally passed.
Oh, is this which
All the
one?
act, baby.
A lot of okay. All right.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. What was the bill?
The Equality Act.
Oh, the Equality Act? You mean went through like the House? Yeah, the House. I didn't think
Now
of
it's
this.
got- I know.
So when
I
you
know,
say
it's the final
pass,
boss.
when you say pass, that's
I get it. I know we impeached him twice and nothing happened. Right? We gotta look up. Now we're at Bill's baby. What else? There's something else I thought of. I forgot what it was.
I have lots to say.
Oh, the committee for the Black Boys and Men
First of all,
is finally in committee. Apparently, the commission's done, but they're trying. I don't know why they haven't announced the committee members yet. I did find out they snuck some fucking shit in the bill that they're not. No one in the committee is getting compensated for their work.
I think that is misrepresentation.
Is that the Marco Rubio deal?
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I expected that.
obviously,
So imagine your job is like, as a black person, hey, can you look into the issues of black men and boys? Oh yeah, you're not getting paid.
You're not getting paid. Thank you, Marco.
God, what a true American hero right there. Oh my God.
Joe, congratulations on your state finally doing something about marijuana.
Yeah, but it's still I think illegal to grow or some shit.
Yeah, I'm still pissed off. Home cultivation is out of it.
Yeah.
You already know how I feel about that.
It's like even if
1, 2. Ooh.
Much better.
As we proceed to bring you what you need. Prime time.
Oh, also too, my if you want the inside scoop, my fucking boss at the event company fucked up because he's in like one of the committees for COVID, and he just dropped on a Facebook post that Jersey is going to be at 50% capacity mid-March.
So,
even though he's not supposed to release that information at all.
What do you mean 50 like vaccine capacity?
So events, indoor dining, and ceremonies 50% capacity.
Oh, like that kind of capacity.
Cap limit.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. Isn't that a bad thing? What is it?
Well, he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to announce. He's not supposed to announce an executive order that hasn't been announced yet.
Like, how do you quantify that? Do you have to have like a bouncer or something? Like, what if you have that 51%?
I have no idea how they're gonna do it.
People are obviously gonna.
I think the way it is,
the 50%.
I understand what she's
I think
saying.
they think like they give you the number, right? Like I think every place has like a maximum occupancy, and then to get reported to get in trouble. Like I don't think they like. I think like if someone wants to be an asshole and they're like, dude, screw this restaurant. Like they count the people in the room and they call like the fucking cops.
I guarantee. Give it a few months.
Like they do in New York.
Look, just don't make my drink weak. That's it. My drink is weak. I'm gonna shut this bitch down.
See something, say something, guys. See something, say something, guys. Come on now.
Guarantee you, by the end of the year, we'll have like a picture of like a bunch of officials, possibly Republican, having a blast. And we'll see
like last time.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which last time?
So there was the New York Republican convention that they held in my state, and then there's that congresswoman who held another New York congresswoman who held an event in my state. It's like fucking Matt Gaetz.
And on the issue of vaccines, like I went to the dentist today. I don't know why dentists do that thing where they just pull your fucking mouth with 1,000 things and then keep talking to you. So I was in pain and suffering, and she was just like monologuing and complaining about the government, which does give me like physical pleasure when someone complains about my government, because
physical pleasure. That was an oddly specific type of pleasure there.
Physical,
not emotional. Physical. Jeez. All right.
Yeah, it's a whole sensory.
only on prime time.
You sure you went to a dentist? Like, My dentist doesn't make me get physical pleasure. It's usually just pain.
It's just the monologue.
No.
I was like, yes, keep talking.
So could like
whisper communism in my ear.
ASMR dentistry. That's what happens. You go there and you just have a good time.
Yeah, and the first thing, and I said like I was going to the dentist. I just talked to this day. The only thing he said, the first thing he said, like, oh no, you're skipping the black one. Right? He didn't ask me if I was okay, if I had any problems. Just like, no, you're going to the black one still, aren't you? I was like, no.
Yeah, he's like, I went to the dentist too a couple days ago, and you didn't say shit. You're just like, you didn't even ask me how it went.
Wait a minute. So wait, Venom. So the dentist is, so I get it. So like the dentist is in the front, right? Like you walk into the storefront, it just looks like a dentist office. But then it's the back that gets you. Like that fucking, what's that? Like Men in Black style? It's just a whole fucking inside operation type of shit.
Brave of you to assume that there's a front.
We don't need front here.
See, and in the back of the dentist, that's where they talk about material conditions, you know.
Oh, they're putting some material in your conditions.
That's one that's very easy.
They're stimulating your economy, if that's what you want to call it.
I was reading today that there's like there's a shortage of lab monkeys. Apparently, we use a bunch of lab monkeys, and the United States has like 25K of these lab monkeys.
Hold on, man. All black everything. What? Come on, man. You gotta be cognizant of the panel we're on.
What?
What?
Yeah. Anyway,
let's use the word simians.
It's okay. I mean, it's just like even if you replace.
Anyway, we have 7 facilities that I just learned of in the United States where we have set 25,000 lab monkeys. Just think of how many monkeys are in each facility. Crazy.
How do you? Why?
I don't know.
Imagine having to deal with them. Like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, monkeys.
I know, right?
That was a third floor on my university between the monkeys and the cats, because there's like a bunch of monkeys and also a bunch of cats that keep fighting for territory. And the university that they just say, I don't care. And they just have
sorry, saying monkeys just does not hit right. Okay, I don't know.
Monkey cat turf wars. Venom, are you serious?
This is Cartoon Network. What are we doing?
Okay, we gotta have a panel question on this.
I understand this is literal monkeys.
I told you black issues in Brazil. I put the article in the panel. It didn't make the cut. I told you.
But it's not. It wasn't Cats v Monkey though. That's the issue. It wasn't Cats v Monkey. Okay.
It's strange, right? They just like they gave up. There are just too many of them. Too many of us, and it's like, and the directors are like, okay, they want this one, you know. This is theirs. They're just borrowing land, you know, from them. It's just like that's how the university operates here. It's just
I wouldn't know. Like a cat, I could deal with the cat, but if I was like walking down a hall and there's just a monkey, there's just this level of mischief, you know. This aura of like, you know,
aren't they violent?
Monkeys are extremely.
They're very tiny monkeys. They're like this, right?
They can still rip the flesh off your bones.
It's all fun and games until it goes Super Monkey Ball.
They're only tiny monkeys. Then they rip the cheek right off your face, and they're still little cute monkeys.
Okay, they're marmo sets. I don't know if fucking chat knows what a marmo set is.
They got like super big eyes.
Yeah, super big eyes and fluffy ears.
Yeah, like elf ears. Yeah.
Those
that fever dream that I came up with. Dear God, that sounds like cats versus cute little monkeys. Oh my God.
I feel like monkeys just.
What kind of Fantastic Beasts fan fiction is going down in Brazil, bro? What are you doing now, bro?
Well, you can't use.
All he's saying is you gotta be wearing cleats in fucking Brazil. You never know.
Big muscles.
I think we should clear the schedule for tonight. I think we have to talk about cats versus monkeys.
Monkeys would win free.
I'm up to you.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Make the call.
least you built this.
No, cats, they're just built different. They're natural predators. You should see my cat.
Yeah, and then like I get it. If humans went extinct, cats would survive and all the dogs would die. But that doesn't mean a monkey wouldn't just rip its insides out.
She's a buff woman.
I mean,
it
it's
doesn't
just
override
like,
it. And
cats are
maybe
just
some number of
mean,
characters,
you know, they just
that get associated.
they're the only things.
Those
that
are called
exist,
those,
like,
but the thing is, we
The
call
line
those
here
are called tigers in America. I don't know what's going
contextualizes
on
all those
down in
other
Brazil.
well, we do have jaguars here. So it's like, you know,
Cats-
like you,
cats
Yeah,
are
we don't
on-
call those cats. We just call those jaguars, all right?
I mean, my panther attacks people that she doesn't like. She literally sends someone home bleeding one day because like certain people treated her a certain way when she was little, and she attacks them when they come over now.
Jesus.
cats are fucked up because like, they kill like for pleasure. So it's like they
Is
kill.
that real? Is they
Yeah,
actually
They
kill
hunt,
the
yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and they're really proud of it too.
And they'll deliver it to you.
Yeah, they're happy and they'll meow and they'll play with it.
They like sometimes they're weird, but like I think for some cats, most of the time they just.
I'll be proud. I'd be proud if I died to a jaguar. That's a lie. I'd be shitting my pants and I'd be a coward. But still, on this panel, I'll say I'd be proud to die from a jaguar.
If a cat recognizes you as an alpha, it will kill things and bring you. Like I had a cat kill birds and bring the bird to my.
I think the logical progression.
This happened to me as well. So this happened 2 times.
Bro, I don't believe that. I heard the opposite. I heard they bring you food when they don't think you can hunt for yourself. So they.
I feel like though, if I had to choose,
that's what the alpha does. We don't hunt.
Choose between like the logical like evolution, I'd totally choose a jaguar every time because I feel like if a gorilla was gonna kill you, it would just fucking play with you. It would just be straight torture for hours.
I think jaguars hunt gorillas, right? Aren't they the predators?
Jesus Christ, yo, imagine a jaguar hunting a gorilla.
Their tongues are jagged. Yeah. Go ahead.
Punch you? A gorilla would punch you and you just die, or it would just let you be, right? Like if
I would hope, dude, if you survive the punch.
There's that chance a gorilla will let you be.
So
like, if you see a jaguar, you're already dead. Right?
So potential gorilla predators, according to gorillasworld.com, are leopards.
Good source.
Just leopards.
So,
listen to me.
Leopard.
We all know the panther is king, bro.
There's a Reddit post about an eastern silverback gorilla versus jaguar.
We all know the panther is king.
Listen, the real question is
all day, every day.
Okay, if we're gonna talk about animal debates, the real question is are we going King Kong or Godzilla? Okay, and this is a
King Kong, bro.
No, stop. We're gonna go one by one. Okay, I have to determine who here is a highly intelligent individual and who here is a clown. Prime, you go first. King Kong or Godzilla?
Godzilla all the way.
Good answer, Joe.
No, come back to me.
Okay, Venom.
Have a pronoun role. Okay.
Godzilla.
And you never
Good choice.
say
Priestess.
what your pronouns are.
I've never seen a Godzilla movie. I've only seen the King
So
Kong
automatically
movie.
Godzilla. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
One's a lizard, one's a gorilla.
Oh yeah, but the other one's like a big alligator monster, like Reptar, or like
Reptar, maybe.
It's Reptar.
It's okay.
And he's got teeth, right? I feel like teeth trumps like strangling, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, but are we talking like real Godzilla, like from Japan, or are we talking like Hollywood Godzilla? Because if it's Hollywood Godzilla,
it's not Puff Daddy Godzilla and that music video one.
It's 2018, 2014 Godzilla.
Listen, think about it this way. I have a feeling Assie's gonna choose like the stupid ape over the goddamn.
Oh my, you nerd!
Easy answer.
Listen, you don't understand, okay? Godzilla just bangs on his chest.
Just say your pick and let me
King
speak
Kong.
myself.
King Kong will bang on his chest. Godzilla literally fires nuclear blasts from his mouth. There's no competition.
Was King Kong not hitting the nuke when Samuel Jackson was fighting? Did we miss?
They tried nuking. They tried nuking Godzilla.
Sam, #1 black actor and the #1
Godzilla be
actor?
taking all of that.
No,
Godzilla be taking all of that.
think
He's built different.
He survived Sam.
I think it'd be a draw because if we had to do true Godzilla lore, the Japanese would make Mecha Godzilla to try to stop both of them. And then King Kong and Godzilla would have to work together
so what do you mean
to stop
by that?
Mecha
What do you mean
Godzilla.
by
Such nerds, I swear.
Well, listen, I basically just spoiled the plot of the
King
next
Kong,
episode.
did he go along with King? It's Godzilla. First of all, in the eternal words of Frank Ocean in No Church in the Wild, what's a king to a god? All right, thank you, Godzilla.
You don't know.
You picking an H over literally Mewtwo of the kaiju, bro. Like, come on. No,
King Kong eats kaiju, bro. Have we not seen the movies? The only thing that kills King Kong is a white woman. Godzilla has no power, bro.
In the King Kong movie, wait, they don't.
King Kong was literally taking everything. All the shots.
Kaiju.
Those are. I'm a crypto black nationalist, Wiggle. Jesus Christ! What is this take?
You guys don't know the lore. That's how I know y'all think y'all so smart. Y'all stupid about this. I can't let y'all have this. I'm telling you. King Kong wins all day.
He doesn't. Wait, I don't even think those like
Godzilla has no
dinosaur
arms.
things. Listen, I don't even think the things that King Kong fights in the movie are actually considered kaiju. Those are like those are like it's dinosaur things. Those aren't. I don't know if those are considered kaiju.
He fights giant octopus, giant. Matter of fact, Godzilla fights giant grasshoppers and giant spiders. What are you talking about?
Too.
They're all kaiju.
All right, y'all are goofing the lore. I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna let you have it.
Listen, King Kong fights kite. He's what's that movie with John Boyega where he's fighting all the kaiju? He's like the Power Ranger, the fake
Pacific
Power
Rim.
Ranger. Pacific Rim. That's what King Kong is. He's been doing that since the day he was born. He's been fighting kaiju since the day he was
Godzilla
born.
don't got the reach.
Who do you think?
Are you relating John Boyega to King Kong? And you were saying I was
King Kong. I'm saying no. No. King Kong is the OG Pacific Rim kaiju fighter. Who you think took out his whole family?
We can't.
Y'all don't know the lore.
We can't know
the lore. That's why I can't have a real conversation with you.
We can't let the people think that
y'all
we're
some Godzilla fanboys. I'm telling you, man. I can't.
We can't continue platforming this nonsense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, true.
You're responsible platform.
We got apparent but
Godzilla
we
can't
have to
jump.
hide.
So I think that
We gotta keep talking.
Godzilla has no hops.
So it's
He's
We
like
gotta
a
keep
white
talking
boy.
so that this VOD
can't
hides the anime VOD.
Yeah, true. Now I don't want to talk about that one. That wasn't a good night. I don't like that.
What? We got to crush Destiny and his terrible takes.
We did, but he said he should be deplatformed for that. That is a bannable offense. I don't want to remember that. He should have got banned for that one.
Okay.
You guys look like fairy tale fans. I'm telling you.
No,
Yo, that's called
I
for.
bet
No
you one of
personal
you.
attacks
I
here,
bet
okay?
you one
Oh,
of you
shit.
got a fairy tale tattoo on your back.
Fucking
I'm
ad
telling
homing
you,
here.
Jeez.
Fucking
All right.
ad-homing.
Fairy tale
That's the point.
I know you got the fairy tale tramp.
Okay, alright. So, okay, well, this has been a thing.
Oh shit! Wait, real quick. I totally forgot. There's I just remember this in the barrels of my asshole. There's a Pacific Rim anime coming out next week, March 4th.
CG are actually good.
And I don't know.
Yo, Joe, I'm pulling something else out of the barrels of your asshole. It's the take that King Kong is better than Godzilla.
King Kong has the reach. He's got the reach.
You know he's gonna win.
Y'all know
he's gonna win.
Godzilla has
you guys
distance.
Are
He's
fighting
got the
it
distance.
in your gut.
He's got the distance. He had the Steph Curry from downtown. But King Kong is he's just gonna LeBron James you, right? He's just gonna go right up the middle.
I'm like, y'all don't even believe in God, but you're out here rooting for Godzilla. Y'all so
I believe in Godzilla. Right?
I don't trust a single word y'all say. King Kong all day.
Okay.
Let's move on, Prime. Come on, Prime time.
Not a wrong show. Anyway,
I know.
hey everyone, my audience is still around. Thanks for not immediately leaving. But really appreciate you all. We're gonna get started. This is the All Black Everything panel. Why it's possibly my favorite. Yeah. So coming at you 8 p.m. on Thursday? Yes, Thursday nights. Yes, thank you all for being here. And we're going to start by introducing the people who've been... We'll start with the guy who's been quiet but always has the best takes. Be more. Tell the world why Azzy was wrong. Go ahead.
You exist, and then
no, best takes? Hell no. Come on, Joe's here. Venom, a fucking champion. Let's not forget that, even though it's been a while. Come on, buddy. Like, get back to it. No, I'm B-more. I appreciate the invites. This is the best panel of the week. We all know that. I don't know why I'm saying it, but that's it.
So just to
thanks so much. Next, we have Joe Lewis, MVP. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Things are going pretty well. Apparently, people have some weird takes about a lizard.
Physics person.
I don't know. Those type of people don't stay long in my panels. But I already know which one of them are. Venom. Jesus, Venom. Jesus, thanks for coming through. Thanks for still not delivering on that camera. But then again,
it's more like coming. Okay, look, the camera is coming from the US, so blame your own mail, okay? Your own mail system. Okay, the fucking USB, whatever. Blame them. Also, yes, I'm doing as well as I can be. I'm still in the global south, so as good as you can be in the global south is
Thanks so much. Next, we have Wiggle. Wiggle, thank you for all the work you've been putting into this. Help make this happen. Wiggle, how you doing today?
I'm alright. Actually, this one was like really easy. I feel like Polar did like a majority of it, and then Spectre, and then you, and I just kind of was just like, yeah, just like a yes man. It felt great. I mean, I remember a week ago, or like the last time we did one of these panels, there was a guy that was like, this nigga got a dusty ass PC. And then I looked at it, I was like, damn, I felt bad. I was like, he's right. I should clean this. And then, you know, I didn't do it because I'm a true rebel. I'm a revolutionary. And you can look at my dusty PC and know that every time.
Wow. Okay. Fighting against the man by not cleaning your room. I see you. Right. The anti-Jordan Peterson take. I get it. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Next we have Azzy. Azzy, all right. Look, we're not starting off on a good foot. Like this past 20 minutes did not put you in the best of light. But look, we practice forgiveness here. All right. So all you gotta do is repent.
I don't need
all you have to do is repent. Right? And get on your knees. Pray to Godzilla. Pray to Godzilla. And we're good. All right. So repent.
Right. This is like Freud or whatever.
See, also phony. Prime always talking the good game against God. But now he out here worshiping the lizard. This is why I can't. Man got a dusty PC out here. They think they're so smart. This is why I'm here. This is why they keep bringing me back. Because I keep them grounded. I tell the truth. All right.
I'm a product.
Home. I appreciate you.
First of all, I'm not a real person. All right. I'm
a
product of Prime.
Every time I malfunction,
subhuman. Every time I malfunction,
lizard creature.
You'll notice there'll be another box behind Prime, and then Wiggle looks a little different next time.
all these guys, they're lizard men from Soul Calibur. That's what they look like, man. Especially. But all right, but I appreciate y'all for having me on. It's gonna be a good time.
Sorry, guys.
Amazon Lily. I'm seeing in the chat you guys are saying that's number one, but I know we're just being nice. But you guys, because they never want to be nice to us. Us, you know, on the backs of on our backs, Amazon Lily is great. I'll be honest.
What was Joe saying last week? That like something about what we all it's always about the white women or some shit like that. Like
so, number one,
let's say
proprietor.
White woman. Jesus Christ.
He's always trying to.
All he said is, I don't see no white women on your wall, Joe. Right?
Tell you, Joe, y'all some phonies. Look at Joe and all of them beautiful.
Wait up,
melanated women on the skin.
Who invited this dude?
You can't hear you.
No, you know I already told you I'm not gonna be on the panel with him.
Look at that misogynist. What kind of trip is that?
I appreciate y'all for the half decent intro. You know, I got ridiculed in
and
the
it's
first
still going. Holy
30
shit.
seconds.
Anyway, bye.
And it's still going.
So anyway, moving on. High Priestess. Tell them why you are clearly my favorite on this panel, right? Let them know.
It's not useful.
Because I'm keeping my neck warm. That's why. And you know, awesome. I can also make Prime happy in the meantime as well. My mom gave this robe for Christmas when I was like 13 years old. Like no cap. So this is like 10 years old now.
So this is
a little
why
ratty,
I feel,
but it's my favorite
among other
garment
things,
of
that
clothing
these
I
two
have.
It's amazing.
Anyway.
Your mom has great taste, but yeah.
Yeah, she knows what I love.
High Priestess, seriously though, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you coming through.
We're talking about
Sorry, I am gonna try and stay a little bit, but I do have homework to do. I got the message and I woke up in the morning at 5 o'clock and I was like, yeah, totally. And then I started my day and realized that I have way more things and time to do those things. So I've just been like living a pretty cringe existence every single day. Thanks for
yeah,
I haven't even been streaming really, but I've been tweeting. So
and this is my analysis based on like having watched.
Next, thank you so much. Next, we go
maybe
to
things will happen that'll prove
Polar. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you and the work you've been doing to keep this particular panel alive as we go through this transition period. How you doing, Polar?
I'm doing pretty solid. Had some interesting streams. I'm now the #1 biggest. I am now an official drama streamer. If you want all the drama that's going on, you have to hit my link. None of it is clickbait. I promise. Everything in the title is completely true. We go over all of the drama. Yeah. So go check out my channel. I know you guys are all drama.
I did see the title before. I was like, say what? Like, nah, I'm leaving it alone. I'm not gonna even. No, no, I didn't click. I saw it. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I see what you're doing.
No. They're truthful to the title. No. It's been great to do this stuff. I like it's been a pleasure to organize. Maybe me and Wiggle were doing some stuff behind the scenes. Prime were doing stuff behind the scenes to make this panel a lot better than it already is. So I'm very excited for the future. Yeah.
All right. Next, last but not least, fashionably late. We have GSU Gambit. Thank you coming through. Thank you for coming back. And always having a great attitude about this until like we're deep in like the second topic and like fucking hate you guys. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Gambit?
I was like, what in the stall is this? But I was happy because I'm like waiting on my girl to get home to get the kids. So yeah, it was awesome. Cats are far better than monkeys. High Priestess is always correct. But yeah, I am GSU Gambit. I stream on Twitch. Lately, you haven't seen much of me because I've been balls deep in the side projects. But yeah, I am here today. I'm happy to be here. I love ABE. Y'all know this is what I love. So let's do it.
All right. Yeah. Thanks so much. Okay. Polar, before you suggested a bit of a shift, a bit of a change in the format, correct?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did. Sure.
All right, so we'll try to do it your way, and see how it goes, right? So what we'll do, we'll start off with a topic. We'll see where it takes us, right? This will be more closer to my open panels, right? Start with the topic. We'll see where that takes us. Then, if the conversation dies down, we'll go to another one, right?
Maybe we can start to do things with
so I'm in that case, I think let's start with topic 2 then, because I think that's our most explosive one, and see where that takes us. The problem is, okay, here's the problem with this format that we're about to engage in, because there's no hard ending like the previous, right? That means we don't know when the yelling will stop. This is the problem. I don't know. Once it starts, I have no way to stop it. So okay, here we go. Blame Polar. The Southern Poverty Law Center released a report saying that at least 160 Confederate symbols came down in 2020. Much of the focus of the George Floyd protests was directed at taking down these many symbols. Looking back on that year, was it worth it that so much energy was expended on removing statues? Was anything actually accomplished? Was this damn it, I typed this at like 7 in the morning. Will this be looked back as an important accomplishment, or will it be remembered as a wasted opportunity? Okay, forgive my terrible grammar. We'll jump into it. We'll do opening statements, but then we'll get into it. All right. So, be more. Was it worth it?
Which is extremely important in some.
We can hear someone typing.
if you're advocating
Wait
for
up.
women and for the equality of women, or if you're a trans person and
Give me a second.
Skip me for a second. They flipped it on. They flipped it on us.
Yeah,
Did you not see?
We out here thinking about McDonald's when we talking about.
No.
It's the second topic.
Skip me.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. We'll go to Joe Lewis.
how this
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. In its current state, it could probably be faster, but again, this is kind of like a states' rights issue. But what I mean by that is that at the state level, they have the most freedom to choose what they want to do. On federal property, obviously, that's going to remain to be seen. It's time for a change. It's been time for a change. So it's cool that it's happening. Could it be faster? Sure. But we just got to make sure Texas catches up with the rest of the world. It's a little cold right now, so we gotta
like a dumb three-head train.
Let's go to
I need it clearly.
Yeah.
So like abortion is like a great example that I've heard you bring up as this issue. That it's like
I'd say that
right now in
I
the
don't
USA,
think that
that
framing things in terms of like
kind of just
energy expenditure is very wise in regards to like how a movement manifests, right? I think that the purpose of a movement is for disruption, right? It's for demonstration. So if you're going to do things and if you're going to engage in political activity, you might as well do it in a way that also helps bring the public consciousness of history to a larger degree, right?
But like at the same time, there are like interesting and important theoretical
informs the public about what the history of the events are, of why this statue be removed. People start to become more conscious, more conscientious as far as the as far as the in the case of the US would be the Confederation as the racist implications of its civil war, right? So honestly, I don't see it as energy spent at all. I think it's energy well spent. And if you're going to do a protest, I think that tearing down symbols of hate are as good a way of manifesting as that.
Interesting. Oh man, I think there might be some disagreement here. All right, let's go to Wiggle.
You have a huge
so like,
subset
I'm gonna just be honest,
feminism
because I feel like a lot of people haven't yet. There's some
is
lib
saying
shit,
that trans women
but
are.
unfortunately for all
So
of
it
you guys,
becomes an even
I am a
more
lib. So yeah, it feels kind of good that they took down
whole
160 of these
subset of
things.
women
Kind of
who are
sucks knowing
intent
for the article that
on
there's like
telling
still like they put
trans
like
women
what
that they're not women. So
704
it is, like,
left.
very
That kind of
difficult
sucks.
'cause the
That means
women
it
who are
didn't do
having
much.
this
The
discussion
framing of it,
or
like like,
feminists who are
was
having
this
this
good enough? I mean, obviously not. I mean,
always
I
the
don't
danger
think
when you
George
start
Floyd,
having this
like,
discussion
I don't think
that
that death
someone is
was
gonna
for
go,
like, for this. I don't think
that's
protests were
that's
really
not
for
what a
like
woman
just taking out
is.
these statues. There's a lot left to do.
So
Am
it's
I
like
not
dangerous. So,
happy?
yeah, don't worry about
Yes.
my stream. I've
Am
seen
I
that you
happier
just
than I
does
was
that.
like
I don't
before this
know.
was done?
Don't remember setting it
Yes.
up.
So that's kind of where I am.
Understand
The
it.
liberal.
Just, yeah,
Okay, all right.
Oh shit! Did I do a lip take? Wiggle?
Azzy.
Azzy.
So I used to be of liberal mind like Wiggle, but then I evolved, and I found out, man, this doesn't do that much. In fact, these statues are a reminder that you guys lost. So your taxes are going to upholding the fact that you guys lost, and I feel that by removing them one by one, we're going to unleash a wave of a fanatic Tea Party extremists upon people because they're just so mad that they're losing their statues. And I feel like there's better uses of our time if we want to attack racism.
Just quickly,
I feel like the statues themselves are very minimal in upholding racist ideals. I feel that the actual people, as going after people who are alive today, will do us better. But that's just my take.
Okay. Let's go to High Priestess.
Hold on. If we're throwing out subjectivity, because that's what it sounds like.
Will this be remembered as a wasted opportunity? It won't be remembered at all, probably, because apparently we still have another 700 up, so we took down a fraction of them. It was symbolic change for a movement that was trying to bring attention to the murder of Black bodies. So, you know, I would say, like, comparatively, he took a couple of statues down because they're murdering people, and like the police officers that are supposed to be like protecting and serving are murdering people in the streets. I feel so deflated. Like the Lumi is like, yeah, like any Confederate flag or any Confederate statue that comes down is an absolute win in my book. But then it's like, but what was the problem though? Oh, the problem was that you're unlawfully killing people in the street and you have no justice or retribution for it. And you took a statue down.
You can't choose to not be in love with somebody.
It feels really anticlimactic, to be honest with you.
Thank you for that, High Pieces. Polar.
I want to be
listen. Will this be remembered? I mean, in a history book? Yeah, probably. If you give it like 20 years, you know, when I talk to my kids, hopefully, I'm probably not going to mention like summer of 2020 when we took down all the statues. Like, that's probably not the way that I'm going to be remembering that. Honestly, I don't actually like destroying statues either. Like, I just rather have them moved to like goddamn like museums or some shit like that. I think it's like I have like or keeping them like locked up in somewhere so people understand like there's an argument probably like you know, you guys ever see the meme where it's like what happens when liberals take down or the Confederate statues and in all the like the children's textbooks like the Civil War is like erasing off the page and like no one can remember shit basically, like that's a meme and that's just not true. But I also think like I would have no problem just like getting rid of them in public like governmental lands and just moving them to like to be like put down upon actually looking at historical context for us.
Yes, you can be.
Objective gender. Well, objective. Hold on. Objective. I'm using. Objective.
But yeah. So I honestly think this is gonna affect like racist people more than me. I feel like the racist people that are still flying Confederate flags and all that nonsense, those are the people who are like so butthurt over. I really don't care much. I think it's good that in the future Black kids won't have to see these statues. But I kind of agree with Wiggle and Azzy. But I mean Polar and Azzy. I think moving them to like a Civil War museum, say, hey, these are the dumb folks that went against our country and were treated and got killed, luckily. Yeah, I think that's how we should remember the Confederacy. I don't think it's a good, it was enough change after the George Floyd situation. I would have wanted, like High Priest was saying, more like policy change to stop these type of things from happening in the future, but yeah.
And we'll try them again. Be more.
Yeah, one more. So I have to agree with Polar. We should just move these statues to long-range rifle ranges across America so we could take shots at them. But you know, I don't want to. Like, they serve a purpose. I mean, like set them at 1,000 yards, grab 6.5 Creedmoor, and launch it. But overall, these are not history. There's nothing historic about these statues. These statues were built after they lost. We handed their ass to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, my ass hurts. Let's build a statue." This is not history. And anybody thinking this is historic? No. Like, I'm gonna post an article in chat for everybody to look at, so y'all can understand how not historic these stupid ass statues are. And I definitely still do agree with Polar. We should move them out to long range rifle ranges.
I need some sort of like wait, everyone gave their take, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I need some historian or something to clarify this because I've heard this from people, but I'm not a historian. Is that like so? This is part of like one of our worst president ever, Woodrow Wilson. It was like one of his projects to have this whole idea, and then to put up these statues everywhere, and these statues are like so makeshift, why they're easy to break, and that's why like, they just crumble. And like, if that is true, like how are we gonna say like this?
You know, there's some shitty things about
that we put into like a museum somewhere and it holds some sort of like value. Take a picture while you take it down. I mean, like something holds like historic value in the sense of like it happened. Like they fought a war. Like the war is historic enough. Like the statue, it's not like I don't know. It's not like a souvenir of war. It's just kind of like a powerful remembrance that makes people. They were created so that people feel like a sense of loss or a sense of pride. You know?
Could that not be? It's not history in and of itself. The fact that America has an issue when it comes to upholding these figures, right? Like, is that not important?
Yeah, but it's history. It's history for like the history books, but not like a museum. You know? Like,
no.
I don't like destroying things. Honestly,
wait, what if? No, I have a question. What if instead of taking them down, we elect the Union soldier that we like erect the Union soldier that shot them like right beside it. That'd be dope.
I love it. Oh, this is
Be
beautiful.
dope. That would be dope. That's exactly.
It knows me too well.
I think the whole thing is kind of strange, right? Because we're talking here about like protesters, and I mean maybe if the government said, hey, let's move these statues to museums, that would be nice, right? But then we're talking about a manifestation that's happening because the government is not doing enough. So it's like you want the protesters to kind of take the statues and move them to a museum themselves, then to kidnap the statue. Like, I mean, they're going to just shove the statues over. And also, like, like one thing that I don't know many issues. I talk about the way that I see it, it's not really an expenditure of energy because these things just happen. Like, should more be done? Yeah, but like at the same time, like pushing a statue over is not lib shit, right? Destruction happens when systems change and a manifestation happens. Like you don't shoot Hitler and then say, "Well, we already shot Hitler. Let's keep the Nazi flags up," right? You like even with radical change, there is like these symbols of hate that tend to be like taken down as well. Like it's just part of the deal.
It's kind of live shit if like none of that other stuff happened, you know? Like,
yeah, the lib shit is that the rest doesn't happen because the statues are broken. It's that the rest happen. That's the lib shit.
Which is something that
it makes racists angry, so we have to do it. Is that isn't it? Like, what is that the only? That's all I need.
What's bizarre about it too is that the concentration of these statues are in 6 states.
They're not even
I think it's Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Mississippi, and like Texas.
I think
so.
X is like
it sucks that like those what 5
like
states have monopoly on the market share here. But
And
yeah,
then
I don't know. I'm with the camp that they ought to at least try. I think if those 5 states just made a conscious effort to just take them down, I'm pretty sure most people would be pretty satisfied.
Why would they do that though? That's the thing. They're putting laws in place to protect them because racism.
yeah. That's the trick, right? Where it's like, how do we convince people that we were duped into putting these up in the first place? Because again, like they're up there for a conscious effort. There's a very particular reason why they're up. Because of time and the lack of actual like portrayal of history, it found a way to get like sort of skirted under the bus, like no different than like slavery versus states' rights, you know?
I gotta say that you say we, but it's really the Daughters of the Confederacy that funded the strong majority of these statues. The article I posted kind of says that, and just looking at their graphs, it's like I would say 70-80% of these statues are paid by them. So it's awkward as hell.
She's redefining to make sure that she.
I have a pretty loose equivalence in terms of taking them down, destroying them, and putting them in different places. It's called the Berlin Wall. That's the one. There was the Berlin Wall, and they I mean, it's a loose equivalence because it's not one singular statue where some people could take it down. There's other statues that could be destroyed. The whole wall had to be taken down, of course. But preserving the wall and as large enough piece to kind of tell you what it is, I think is, and which is again why this is really loose because you want to preserve the history of the Berlin Wall, but it's not that loose of an equivalence because you don't want to burst it to smithereens and throw the whole damn thing in the garbage because it reflects such a horrible history. So I don't think it would be a useless thing to take these statues down and put them in a museum. I think taking the statues down from places like parks or just public areas where it does seem like a memorialized kind of thing where we're idolizing these people, I think is important. And I didn't prepare for this topic, but I read just 2 seconds just right now in the article that it upholds like revisionist history and things like that, and I can totally get it. I can see how I can more link these racist symbols to the racism in society by seeing, the shitty racist cop walking down the street being like, yeah, my man, now let me go step on some black people, right? Like I can kind of see that being I can kind of see those people being your idols in society, and they don't need to be in the street up on their horse with their gun all mount, upholding all the horrible historical happenings of the actual war itself.
The only statues I could entertain keeping were those that existed before 1875, maybe. But after that, bye.
So
maybe that's one of them.
But like why? Okay, so I don't know.
So if I had to spin it, is my point, because like that would actually be history. You know what I mean? But anything built after that's not history.
That is history.
Yeah,
that's by definition history. So like as I mentioned earlier, like maybe it's not history in the context of like it's like Confederate soldiers like idolizing Confederate leaders, but it's history in the sense that like America has a like it's important to demonstrate that America has a really big problem when it comes to like romanticizing the past with like past figures, even when we know what we've done is bad. So like maybe it's not meant to go like we don't think about it in history in terms of like the Civil War, but we think about it in terms of history of like America's view of history, right? Like we do this all the time, right? With like Reagan, with like the 60s, and that may be actually where this history lies in. It's just our bad romanticization of the past.
So the reason why I personally wouldn't consider it history, because if the statue was built by the Confederacy and we got rid of it, like we're removing a figure that was built by a fallen nation. So that's why I would call it historic to me. But people building it on behalf of them is weird. It's like they lost.
History. It's not good. I wouldn't consider it like I wouldn't consider it like Confederate. Like it's not history. It's not in the history of the Confederacy that was. But that's you're completely right there. But I would still say that it's history. Like it's America's romanticization of a bad past, and we do it all the time. So I think it's important not to forget about this.
I don't think it's America's. It's not America as a whole. It's just that this is subset
America's
of people.
You know what I meant?
Like to reenact. I know what you meant, but it's to clarify, it's this subsect of people who are trying to reenact and relive the battles of Civil War over and over and over again, the Battle of Locks Hill and all that. There's these people who are stuck in the past, and they use these statues, and it's only a symbol to them. For the rest of America, we look at these statues and we know what they mean. But at the same time, if we use if we use the same, like, in practice, we should take down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. Somebody said that in the chat, because Abraham Lincoln was a slave owner. This is why I'm saying there's no point in taking down these statues. We need to focus our efforts elsewhere.
No.
Wait.
That's a bad way of viewing history. That is a historian's fallacy right there. So the way that we're looking at it is that whenever we look at history, you can never judge a historical figure on the basis of like the way that we view things now. It's just no historian views things that way. You look at the context of what they were able to do and what the social opinions were, and then that's kind of how you determine whether like their actions, at least you would say now, justify it, right? It's a lot more difficult than just saying like he was just a slave owner, therefore he was like we shouldn't like remember him for that aspect. It's a lot more complicated than that.
I agree with Polar here. Like the way I determine a statue is were they doing something for America at the time, regardless of all the stuff they did, and that's like why I would take down like Abraham Lincoln statue. I think that's like ridiculously crazy. But like with the Confederate, they were a rival nation that warred against the United States. There's no reason that their symbols for a country that was not the United States should be erected in the United States with United States taxpayer dollars, even though some of these were paid for private organizations. They're still in public places and maintained by taxpayer dollars. So that's my reasoning for taking these down, because these aren't American history.
You guys and your taxes.
I think of it more as like what is the symbolization and what does it mean of like whatever the statue is, and then how much money do I get from it? So like if the statue is bringing a bunch of tourism money out of it, then keep it. But
so then what's the
developing, like if it's emboldening people that are like racist or racist adjacent or what have you, like why keep it?
What's the ideal of the Abraham Lincoln statue?
It's like
he's not a traitor to the country.
How many people are going to the Abraham Lincoln statue and then also spending money in area for us? Besides that, how many people are going to that statue and going home and sharing racist sentiment?
Can we let Azzy try to explain this nonsense? Azzy,
but historians do agree that Abraham Lincoln he only wrote the Emancipation Proclamation just to make sure that the civil right, let me get my words together. He wrote the Emancipation Proclamation just because he wanted to weaken the South, so he couldn't use slaves against us. That's the only reason why he wrote it.
So
it's
you
not
said
that
he
he
wrote
was
it?
doing it. He wasn't writing the Emancipation Proclamation
So you
just for the
said he
sake
wrote
of.
it? You said he wrote it, is what you said?
Yeah, now we're looking back after years in the future. We're looking back at
No,
it
no,
and
but
saying,
did he write
okay,
it?
we were benefactors of the effects of it, but it's not like he intended it to help us. He intended it to help him and the North.
Okay, so your reasoning for taking the statue down is you feel like he had other reasons for writing down that
He had
special
ulterior.
proclamation.
He was a villain. Abraham
Alright,
Lincoln.
well,
He
how much
had ulterior
money?
motives.
How much money are
He
we
took
getting
the
from
slaves away
tourism
from the South so they couldn't
caused
fight back.
by this villain? And this villain are people looking at this statue and going home and sharing racist sentiments? Or are they going
A
home
lot
and
of black
it-
historians look at Abraham Lincoln and they say that guy wasn't that good. Why are we celebrating him like this?
So we should take down any statue where we don't morally agree with them today? Is your claim?
We don't morally agree. I'm just being that we don't morally agree with a lot of these statues down in the South.
So we should
Azzy,
take
can I
down.
ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Azzy?
Come on, woke liberals. Come on.
How do you feel about any statue that's like about any figure like before 1900? Do we get rid of them too?
Well, I mean, okay.
What do you mean depend, dude? Wait. You know who's pretty
What'd they
cringe?
do?
George Washington, dude.
Yes.
I know that dude. Cringe.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? Like
Our first
like
president? That's
Lincoln,
different.
cringe.
Wait,
Like what is
different?
Thomas Jefferson? Cringe. They all had slave shit, dude.
I got a
Anyway,
joke.
It's not about. Don't be a child.
Hold on, wait.
It's not about cringe.
Are
you asking?
He's
You know what I meant by cringe. They all had slave shit too. You know what I mean.
Wait, the guy.
Come on now, let's be adults.
The guy.
It's
who-
not about cringe. It's about
It's
he's
not.
the very first president, so there's a difference.
There were 300 slaves.
Yeah, what?
Azzy, wait.
Azzy,
He had
how
a big
did
head.
Lincoln? Wait, Abraham Lincoln got us through the war. Abraham Lincoln got us through the war. That's what I remembered. He got us through the war.
Are you
Maybe
asking?
what Azzy is trying to say, right? Maybe what Azzy is trying to say
You
is
can't
that,
sum
like,
this up.
is that with the Confederate statues, right? You talk to some very hoodie to the Southerners, right, about the Confederacy, and they're going to explain to you that what the statue means is that it brings you ideas of Southern culture and brings ideas of independence and of great ambition and of individual values and family and tradition.
Splendid
and all of
valor.
The pride flag.
State rights.
and all of those nice things,
this,
right?
To me, is interesting.
And then when you peel down the history, you can see that those things are fundamentally misguided in the way that those figures acted upon history, right? And so, as it's trying to make the equivalence between that and people and individuals like what Abraham Lincoln, right? And it's trying to say that, like, okay, you look at Abraham Lincoln, you have these ideas of liberty, freedom, of democracy, right? And when you peel down to the history, to the fabrics of history, the idea is that the equivalence between those is that in both cases you have this figure who distill those ideas, and by spreading those ideas through these statues, you are whitewashing the actions of these individuals, and by effect normalizing the way that people view history and the way that will treat certain massive events and how they think these figures, right? How they should think these figures. Now, I don't agree with the equivalence, right? But I think that's kind of like the way that he's trying to approach this.
I would
that be
Just
fair?
spoke it in the most elegant way and then say I don't agree with it. So you
I'll say-
understand what I'm coming from. I don't. This is what I'm talking about. I'm also woke.
No,
I would
Go
say.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say that, like, this isn't a good way of looking at statues in general. In no way do we, when we ever look at a statue, do most people, like, what we care about with a statue is that, like, people are looking at this, you feel the racism, you feel the hate, you feel the Confederacy acting within, like, oh yeah, we love, like, some Southerners go, oh, we love the Confederacy, oh yeah, family values. But for a lot of people, for a lot of, like, black people, a lot of African Americans, like, this isn't a good, like, this is not something that we want to be remembered. This is not a good view, right? The same thing that comes to Abraham Lincoln is that we view Abraham Lincoln, we think of those good things, majority of people do, and we're okay with that image. Most of the time, people have massive,
So you're
massive
saying we're settling. So you're saying we're settling.
Just
That's what we're settling.
We're settling for Abraham. We're allowing Abraham Lincoln because he did something that helped us. That's what you're saying.
Well, the question
Most
is,
people view it positively.
Is that what you're saying, Polar's World? Yes or no?
Settle. What do you mean by settling?
Yeah, if you want to include everybody that helped us.
We're not settling for the Confederate.
All right.
We gotta. But we're allowing Abraham Lincoln to remain a pedestal.
Yes, because people like majority of people view Abraham Lincoln in a positive light. Specific virtues that we see American, and those things are pushed along forward, right? In comparison to Confederate statues, majority of people just don't see it that way. The power of a statue is supposed to be able to inspire people. Like it's not most of the time. Rare to be extremely historically accurate, okay? If you want that, go read a goddamn history book, okay? I'm serious.
All right, so
you're saying the statue is inaccurate.
I want to do a thought.
Does it matter if it matter? Bro, it's like the statue brings profit. At the end of the day, it doesn't.
We have erected statues in accurate history to make Americans feel good.
All right,
it's
so
not just.
That sounds pretty. That sounds.
Jogo, and then on
Paul, you ready? Paul, you ready? I'm gonna do it. All right. We gotta let's make this really hard. All right. And somewhere in the realms of somebody's band wall, Mel's gonna be smiling. So Stalin, right? So we can agree. Here we go. Get your clip buttons ready. We can agree. Asterisk in 9,000 pages of fine print. Stalin may have, depending on how you feel ideologically, did some good for his people. However, there is a very clear reason why I have to do this tap dancing around the praising of Stalin. No different than Mao Zedong, right? There's a reason why I have to skirt very carefully around these names.
On. You're doing a Candace Owens right now. Come on.
Let's choose your words carefully. It's not even a Candace Owens because Candace Owens doesn't like either of those two people. So
she praised Nazis.
Wait.
Which one was a Nazi? Which one of those is Nazi?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We know how Candace Owens.
What happened? Which one of those?
Went to Germany and started praising all that because they were just trying to help their people.
Azzy, which one of Joe's examples was a Nazi?
No, I'm not saying he was particularly. I'm just saying I can make the equivalence to Candace Owens and how she was talking about Nazi Germany.
Just let Joe finish.
Yeah, so there's a reason why
be careful, Joe.
But there's a reason why Maoism there's asterisks and 30 pages of fine print. No different than Mao and just Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, our boy Carl. There's a reason why these individuals have sort of asterisks next to them, because there's other history and historical context we have to understand. Did George Washington have over 300 slaves? Yes. Were all of them his slaves? It's complicated. Did he own? It's weird, right? But we understand that if we were to take all of the moral good and the moral bad, if you just made a building of that for George Washington, I would argue that the foundation of his house would stay, generally speaking, pretty functional. For someone like Stalin, depending on your war against tankies online, you might think that there's a lot of foundations for the house or there's no foundation at all. And that's kind of my point here, is that some statues are able to stay up there due to the power and the significance of the individual, where others just wouldn't hold any foot. There's a reason why a statue of Barack Obama asterisk makes a lot more sense than a statue of Donald Trump, right? There's sort of historical significance there that has to be explored.
I would also say
Trump actively separated Americans. His rhetoric, his
Donald
Trump. Donald Trump.
Wait. This is
more memorable than Barack Obama.
Shit right here.
This is what I always hear from black people. Obama has done nothing for the black community.
Right.
And they always talk ill of Obama.
Right. Some people like McDonald's and some people like Burger King.
Should we take down the statue?
More memorable than Obama.
Let him finish.
Yeah.
So should we take down the statue of Obama because the black community has found ill has mentioned ill words of Obama. So we take down that statue because they're doing the same thing for these Confederate figures.
Wait, no, wait, whoa. That there's two very different things, and necessary. Like even if we roll with your scenario that Obama did nothing.
Contrast it.
Wait, please let me finish. Wait, okay, so I'll get into this. There's two big, very different things when it comes to Obama did nothing for black people, or Obama like did a bunch of harm to black people, or Obama didn't do enough for specifically black people. Okay, I would say
took money out of HBCUs.
Well, Obama also put in the Affordable Care Act, which provided more health care to African Americans. So like,
yeah, but that's for everybody. He wasn't just doing
wait. This is what I'm saying. So you only need the last. You only need the last one.
No, because he did the same thing Lincoln did. I gotta stop you. He did the same thing Lincoln did. We're just benefiting off the actions of a president, even though it wasn't.
Hold on. Finish your point, and then we'll go to Benham.
Sure. Sadly, okay. To be honest, so you're specifically referring to the last one, that Obama didn't do enough for specifically black people, right? But that's not the way that we generally look at statues, though. Like, for example, most people, if that was to happen, and like 20 years down the road, we're like, damn, Obama really didn't do anything for black people, right? And it's not just black people who have an issue with it, it's like a lot of people. And he was kind of cringe. I think at that point, he's not really inspiring the narrative that he was supposed to, so get rid of him. But it's all contextual to the people of the time. So at one point in the future, where like all of us look at like Lincoln, like 200 down years from the road, and we're like, yikes, he doesn't really inspire that narrative anymore. Maybe he shouldn't have the statue up anymore if he doesn't inspire the thing that he once did. And then secondly, to add on to Joe, like statue, like so when he brings up like Stalin or Mao, right? If you're going back like 30 years in the USSR, a valuable statue may actually have been putting up Stalin to inspire those same narratives that the government may want to put up or society does. It's all contextual to the time. It literally has little to like nothing. It doesn't have as much to do with like what actually happened, but the way that people perceive it and how they perceive it currently. That's the value of statues and inspires narratives.
And to reinforce Polar's point a little bit, what makes it weird about the Confederacy statues, it's like the USSR collapsed, and then we started building Stalin statues. It's like, wait a minute, what? And then, like, if they're okay, god damn it, giant asterisk because I talk about Stalin here.
There's a lot of asterisks going around.
Well, it's because like, okay, so I'm not gonna get into it, but
can't we just find a figure who is clearly morally correct?
I'm just gonna say, yeah. My point is, I'm just gonna say, shout out to.
You can have statues for anything, man. Almost anything in the past.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say shout out to Twitter.
You can have statues of Gandhi.
I don't know if
no, fuck Gandhi. Fuck Gandhi.
Gandhi's not a good person.
Oh my god!
I try to be the most charitable possible, like to like as his perspective and all, but like here's like part of why I disagree.
That's the issue in terms of like
I think that like
ages being like
certain symbols,
this is what
right?
performativity
like
means,
we've gone to the point where like we all acknowledge that it's not quite the history, right? Like the stories that these statues tell, they're not quite history. They instill values in people.
You could say
they instill ideas in people
versus felt.
And there is the context in which these
like
statues are brought up is what essentially matters for the Confederacy. Like, why are these people relevant? What has brought them to that position of prominence amongst their community? Is the fact that they were Confederates, and we can make the argument that like the Confederacy, the Confederate state, they pushed society, or they attempted to push society in a determined direction, and that direction was negative. Therefore, it should not be celebrated. We could also make the argument of someone like Abraham Lincoln. He pushed the society in a determined direction, and that direction that he pushed it towards should be celebrated. In these particular ways, in these specific ways, in the ideas of like democracy and liberty and blah blah blah, whatever Americans care about. And then there's also the idea of like that there is also contextual to the space and time in which you enact these activities of, I'd call it propaganda. Like Lincoln, like the statue of Lincoln and the statue of the Confederacy, they're both propaganda. That doesn't mean it's bad or good. It's just that's what they are. And so, for instance, if you erect a statue of Lyndon B. Johnson on the U.S., it's going to have a certain meaning, and it's going to have a reason why it was erected. And for some cases, you could argue we are erecting this statue to celebrate the Civil Rights Act and all of those good things, right? If you erected a statue
by
of
like
Lyndon B.
mainstream
Johnson,
feminism, gender is seen as social or constructed. It's to do with like culture.
Right?
Whereas
So,
sex is seen as something that is
context
biological, something
matters,
born
even if it's the same individual
by
in
hormones,
different
etc.
spaces and
Biological.
context for what, for the whys,
Actually, within
for
the
the
current
whys this
thinking
statue is
around
celebrated, and
gender,
what values exactly they represent
sex
on that particular
as
space
something which is
in which they
subsumed by gender,
erected
because science is
matter.
necessarily
I think a
positive
lot of
as
these.
well, in
Sorry,
that science is
I'll
expressed
let
through
you know
language,
too.
and we create language,
I think a
and we
lot
create
of
science, and we create
the tail end of what you said is actually really good about like the context, right? And it's what a poll is basically going at, right? The thing I don't like, B-More did this, and you did this, and I think other people did this. It's this nonsense, but like it's not history, right? Like, where's this bright line of history that we can draw, right? This I don't understand, right? If it happened yesterday, it was history. Like, I don't know, you can erect something, right? Because I think part of the argument, it's like, so part of the argument that people say, well, this has been up for so long until it becomes history, right? Then the counter to that was like, oh, well, it hasn't been up for as long as you think it has, right? And so, Be More, puts the article in chat, right, told you like how these things are put up. And then it's like, checkmate conservatives, but still, I mean, it's a statue. You put it up, even if it was yesterday. Like, I don't see, so I don't see like the bright line where like age matters, right? Like at what age? As soon as I'm done, I'll definitely go to you. I don't see a bright line where age matters, right? Like you can just put up. Now it's like, does this have relevance? I think relevance, it should be the key. That's where I thought your best point was there, Venom. Is like, is this relevant to us? Should we still use it? My idea, so we talked about this a lot over the summer on this channel, but my idea was that like, why don't we just continuously like reevaluate our symbols? I don't know why we have all these symbols in the first fucking place. I don't think they're all worth it, but like we can just like reevaluate as a culture, right? Like, do these things still represent us, right? Because our heroes today might be our villains tomorrow. Like, we can understand that this happens, right? And I think everything should be up for debate. Like even the MLK monument in Washington, right? Like everything should be up to debate. Let's reevaluate as time goes on. Understand, we can just take these things down. Like, it's not that big of a deal, and put something up that better represents us. So let's get Gambit and then Wiggle and Puller.
Yeah, so this is why I think we miss like implied words. When we say it's not history, it's not U.S. history. Like the Confederacy and their president and their like generals, that's not U.S. history, right? The Civil War is U.S. history, right? And the Civil War was won, which is why we would erect statues of people who won the Civil War because we're in the United States. We're not in the Confederacy. So there are implied words when we say it's not history. It's not that it's not everything is history, right? This conversation is history, right? But like, is this conversation meaningful in the historical like context of the United States of America? And the Confederate soldiers are not. The winners of the war are. So that's what I say when I'm saying it's not history. I'm saying it's not like U.S. history. And we erect statues of what we consider heroes, and a rival nation fighting against us is neither heroes nor our history.
We're golden polar.
Yeah, I want to impact a few things. One would be that like the idea of like we'll reevaluate the statues and such, but like the statues are going to be created in a way so that people feel positively about them. So like it's not going to be just something you can look at and then you could go either way. The statues are going to be made in a glorious fashion so that people look at them and then they'll feel positively about them so that they will remain. Something like the Lincoln Memorial or such. The other part of it is like if I create a statue, I could just create a statue on the idea of like I'm gonna profit, or like my city will profit for this. If we erect this statue that everybody likes looking at, the same way as like if we have like Madison Square Garden or something, it's gonna bring tourists and it's gonna bring a lot of people to take pictures of this, and it's gonna like bring in this this positive like boost in the economy, the economy here, and then the effects of that could counteract whatever you feel about this statue. So a statue could just be there for that reason alone, or it could just be there in any form. Outside of that, like the idea that like you can't make a statue about anybody specifically. You could make a statue about like a scientific discovery. You can make there's statues exist in locations of like where we first found out about Pluto. There's like a statue there, or there's a statue to our monument that'll showcase where a scientific a scientific discovery has happened, that could be seen as like a net positive across the whole globe. And like I don't see like a negative that could be seen about that, a statue of something like that.
Separated from the
I mean, I can make the same arguments about some of the CEOs of tech giants.
Does not make me a woman.
Like the reason we have so much prosperity and financial wealth now is because a lot of our technological advancements due to social media, so on and so forth. I'm not gonna go down the line. And I can also, just opposed to like Venom was saying, context. I could say that America is as rich as it is today because the South used slave labor. And then a lot of and then black people sharecropping. You guys forgot sharecropping?
No.
Black people
anyway.
Well, yeah. I'm not gonna go in, but yeah, I'm just gonna let that.
You have your hand up.
Oh, I missed that.
Yes. Okay, you're smiling there.
Okay.
What's up?
So, but I'm gonna let my pieces go.
Anyways, yeah. So thanks. So these statues are symbols, and when you create symbols, anything that is a symbol is supposed to be a distillation of an actual idea. It's a communication, and so we have to decode that symbol in our brain, and yeah, that requires a bit of nuance. But when it comes to distilling people's lives down into a symbol, I mean, how do we distill your life down into a little itty bitty symbol? What did you do? Who are you? And we write these histories for these people, and it comes down to a one-liner. It comes down to, do these statues stay up because of the 1 or 2 lines that you can get out because of them? And if it's, this guy was a Confederate leader and fought, nope, bye, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like, what did he do? This guy was he emancipated the slaves. Oh, good enough, keep his statue up. And that's kind of how the nuance of people works with these statues. It's just supposed to elicit a reaction. It's art. It's symbols that were created into art. And I think that the very best example is like a statue of Bill Cosby, right? You'd put a statue of Bill Cosby up, right? Right?
No.
And
No.
like 10 years ago,
And this
you got a statue of Bill Cosby and you distilled it down. What do you think? You think he had a TV show? Amazing. He's so fantastic. And then 10 years later, right? Funny, amazing, best dad ever, right? And then 10 years later, what do we distill his life down to? Predator. Take the fucking statue down. It's an absolute. It's pretty simple, I think. So I've been listening to this conversation about like, well, he like only changed like 1 point in his life, and it's like, well, it's a symbol. It's not a history textbook of what these people are and what they did. So
that was
now it comes full circle. Why are we letting narratives and ideas facilitate how we run our America?
I go to Polar.
This is what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Polar.
Why are we letting narratives and ideas come full circle? I can put up a statue of Bill Cosby right now. I can put up a statue of Jaleel White.
Azzy,
y'all are laughing, but I'm serious.
No, you're taking a whole.
That's why we laughing, bro.
I'm laughing because I'm a happy individual. And
listen,
I laugh at everything.
The reason why narratives
you guys are laughing because you're twisted individuals.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so narratives are important because they help drive certain feelings and individuals and a people, right? Like we do this all the time, right? Like we do this with superheroes. We do this with like specific characters in media. They inspire things.
We don't need them. We don't need them because they're fleeting.
Hey, as
they're fleeting
ideas. As we can't hear other
narrative. Wait. Oh, so one, we use we absolutely do need them. Like they can be like, for example, inspiring patriotism may allow for like better like activity in World War II, right? I'm not saying we agree with this or not, but symbols do that, right? They inspire people to do things for their country. They inspire people to do a lot of things that maybe narratives like Mother Teresa, no matter how bad the person was, inspire people to be charitable. Religious figures do this all the time. Narratives don't necessarily have to be historically accurate for them to be positive. What we want is the positive aspect of these narratives. It doesn't necessarily matter if like we get history done to a T correct. What we care about is the effect of having these narratives up. And then secondly, wait, let me. I had a couple of points actually. So you can't, like you mentioned earlier, like, oh, like what about these good figures like Gandhi? Gandhi is not that good of a person as we remember him now. The symbol of Gandhi is peace, no violence. But like if you look back, Gandhi was like a rampant sexist, would like prey on children, was also a massive racist. But when we put up like statues of Gandhi, what do you think about? You didn't know that before, now did you?
I mean, I did.
Well, then you still said he was a morally good person, though, by your standard. Then Abraham Lincoln would be a good person.
He was not a morally good person.
Wait, so is Abraham by your standard?
I'm just not even sure what the argument is.
By your standard, yes.
No. Gandhi had
just-
much more. Gandhi had much more of an impact on the world than Abraham Lincoln. In fact, Gandhi.
American history.
First of
Gandhi's
all,
influence-
the world
Gandhi's
is
influence
the United
global,
States of America.
international.
Brazil.
I'm not talking to Wiggle.
Okay, listen.
My true opponents are Venom Jesus.
The next point.
And
The next
PrimeCayes. You guys are y'all slipping. Gandhi is an international figure.
Oh my God.
Abraham Lincoln only matters to us.
No, that's not true. That's just not true.
Where in India, where in Asia, where in Europe are they?
Okay, don't worry. I'll mute you if you need me to. But Polar, go ahead. Finish your point.
So listen, if you want to make the historical argument for why Abraham Lincoln is important, Abraham Lincoln allowed for one of the most powerful countries to still exist, right? One of the most powerful and important nations today probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Abraham Lincoln. That in fact massive, and this is why it's very difficult to compare historical figures because we don't have alternative timelines. So we can't really go down into this. And then the next point that I wanted to make, we don't know. But all I'm saying is, if you took these people just directly out of history, right? Like you can make somewhat speculation, but it's really difficult. So for you to say that like Gandhi is just like more historically important to the world, we can kind of rough speculate on it, but it's not a very valuable comparison. And the next point would be history.
I say he's more historic. I didn't say that, but go continue.
Okay, so the next point was specifically referring to history. I would say that the Confederacy is independent of the U.S., but I would say putting up these statues afterwards is a form of U.S. history. So that was my last point that I wanted to make.
Yeah, but so to respond, I never said Gandhi was more historically potent than Abraham Lincoln. I just said that he had more of an impact on the world than Abraham Lincoln.
That's just
on the world. And then to respond to that, America wouldn't have been what it is today. Abraham Lincoln died. Within weeks of him, Abraham Lincoln himself.
About the way that she's
we give him too much clout. We give him too much power. And this is what I'm talking about. The danger. Let me finish, B-more.
No. This is very ungrounded.
Not be cyberbullied on the black panel.
Okay. Look, B-more, since you haven't talked for a while, and then let's go to Wiggle.
No, that's all I wanted to say. This is very ungrounded of you.
That's
all I wanted to say.
No. This is very grounded because I'm saying.
The definition is linguistically.
I just wanted to say that as well. Now I'm just fucking with you. I was gonna say that. Like, what if this, right? What if you put up a negative statue only because it would cause controversy, so that it would highlight something that was positive? Like, what if you did put up a statue of Bill Cosby, knowing that it would cause people to go there and talk about the events that would have a positive effect on society, and you could generate profit? All right, that's my live take. So,
my God!
What if you were to put a statue of something that was hated, an event that was really bad, so that people would go there and discuss it, and people would take pictures of it, they'd go there and argue, which would cause something positive, and you profit.
See that, ladies and gentlemen? This is a true American.
Gambit, get your boy Wiggle.
Wait. No. Azzy really needs to hear this. Azzy, when you add your annotations to every time somebody's talking, you make it impossible for anyone to hear any type of fucking conversation. Can you stop doing that, please? It's annoying as hell. Like, that's all.
Oh, please. You be doing that all the time when you get passionate enough.
I have a great compromise. I have a great compromise. I agree.
Check the VODs, Gambit.
Come on.
I agree with this idea of negative statues, right? If we should portray negative statues in a way so we really send the message home of who these people are, right? So we do a statue of like Robert E. Lee's brain and what your brain looks like during a stroke. We should just have just a gaping hole and a statue of Abraham Lincoln for JFK, just his head just flat, just on. Maybe you have a picture of him in a car. I totally like this idea of negative statues. Just show the brutality that all these famous figures we had died from. How about that?
Are you serious? Or are you trying to
think of the economy?
This is what I'm talking about. You guys always make jokes.
Diamond hands Wiggle over here.
No, I mean, would you Do you think it could drive sales of going to like a place that shows a picture of Abraham Lincoln in a setting of a theater with his face blown off right next to his wife? I think that would
slavery drove sales. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the gunshot drove Lincoln into the ground, so.
What other way?
But so there is a billion. There's so many different ways you can.
Yeah, so I think if we've already been able to establish the point of like the way that we view history, like I think the majority of us agree on that. Like you can't really look at it the way that you did. I just gotta put that one out there. But then when it comes to like museum, I think the museum point is actually probably I think that's an interesting one too. Is that like I would say I wouldn't want to put it in a museum for the sake of remembering the Confederates or what happened in the Confederacy. I'd probably want to address like as I mentioned earlier, America like
so if you have
the country in general. I'm not talking about individual Americans, but tends to have a really like unhealthy view of the past, and we erect these statues even when we like the descriptive history of those things isn't necessarily true. Like we think we do this all the time, so I think putting that in there is like an interesting way of like viewing American history. It's a much more it's a lot less descriptive in the sense that like you're directly remembering history. You're looking at it in forms of historical view. So I think that's really interesting as well.
But like think of the idea of the museum, right? Because like if you have the museum, it brings people to an area.
Yeah,
they're gonna spend
we
gas.
don't want to make money off of it.
This
This is what we're saying.
You got Venom.
So like if I walk up.
Venom, go ahead. I said Venom. Go ahead. I want to hear what you're saying.
Like a bakery.
Oh no, that's really making a bigger. Never mind.
Okay, sure. But so
you
like,
guys
I think my
point.
problem here is one thing you said something you said a while back. I didn't get to respond to. You're saying like, well, what if you like build like there apparently is a statue of like where we discovered Pluto or something, right? Like where we first.
Yeah, there's like a monument.
Yeah, monument to that, right?
Yeah.
Well, like you're saying, like, well, what could be wrong with that? Well, maybe we started worshiping Pluto, then that would be a problem, right? Like maybe it would have negative effects. I'm saying that all these things can, right? It's only in the light. Again, it's the relevance thing that Polar and Venom were talking about previously, right? Like that's what matters. Right now in our life, it's not like Pluto isn't all that fucking relevant. Sorry.
We could extrapolate that, right? Yeah. So what is the difference between worshiping like a monument and a text?
No, exactly.
So how about like
yeah, we don't like
but
there's people that will read like what like a Harry Potter book like 7 or 8 times in their life. And they're Harry Potter fanatics. They wish they lived in the Harry Potter world. And, I mean, what's the difference between that and like a monument?
You Harry Potter simps.
I'll tell you, we do this.
You half-blood princes out there.
I'm now
having, like, right in the sense that like we do the same thing with like religious texts. So he's completely right. A lot of people take away things. So I would say though is that generally when it comes to texts like history texts, maybe in comparison to monuments, you're probably like. Generally, monuments probably do a better job of like specifically or it's like symbols and like statues do a good job of singling in on a specific thing and then like keeping that all throughout society. So it's they tend to be a lot more representative of specific things.
I don't know if
but like religious texts, some of them can do that same thing. So like the Bible, Quran, or the Vedas, like they all act in some sort of this way and represent like ideas and like beliefs throughout society. Just not all texts do that. Whereas statues, to a certain extent, tend to do that.
I tend to think like
meta discussion about whether or not woman equals identifying as a woman is a tautology. Chat and I believe it is a tautology. For some reason,
on a scale, like
it is decided that woman is this thing
much more.
that exists,
yeah, I agree.
And it's a sign that represents it, and is decided to go.
I was just saying, that's the point that I was saying is that like some text and some form of monuments tend to do a lot more at representing things and tend to have a much broader impact. So yeah, I agree.
This is why I disagree with you guys, because you're so focused on ideas and narratives that you're trying to compare religious texts to statues. Religious texts aren't some archaic representations of history. Okay, this is what I'm saying. You guys are so smart, you're missing the point. Out here hyper-focusing on certain things.
Yes,
let's go.
Oh no!
Let's go. This is why I'm saying. This is why I said Gandhi was different from Abraham Lincoln.
All right, listen. There's very few things that activate Prime on a panel, and one of those things is this religion. He's gonna go off for about 2
Gambit,
hours.
well, I was silent this whole time, right, Gambit? I let them speak, right?
You were silent. What?
Hold on, Gambit. Hold on, Gambit.
Oh, he's activated.
You literally never shut up this entire time. What are you talking about?
You didn't let them speak, but I understand you tried. Good job.
Let them speak a multitude of times.
Oh my God.
They were talking about it.
Okay.
They posted about it in the chat.
Okay.
Good golly.
So, so look. All right. So this what the aren't an archaic history like the Bible? Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're saying that it's all okay, no. Sorry, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm trying to be good. I got my man Gambit here, right? And I'm not trying to raise his blood pressure.
Hey, listen, we can do it. We can talk about how important religion is to the
Let's stay on to the black community. To the black community. How important is religion to the black community?
Is not equal to
Islam, Christianity, Judaism.
For the purposes of
Judaism?
Yes,
Black Israelites.
Okay, Drake.
Let's not do the Black
Jews.
Oh man.
Have we forgotten?
Hello, hi. Taking statues isn't going to actually get rid of history. History is like in like history books. You know that, right? Like, so taking down these statues is kind of a positive. We've gone down this line of like, oh, is it a good thing? Is it what? Are we going to take down Abraham Lincoln statue? Which I feel like it's getting a little bit asinine because this is about whether or not this was a waste of time to take these statues down during this period of mass focus on these issues. And I don't know. I think that it's a good thing that we took these statues down for the black community. If we take down some other statues in the meantime, honestly, fine. If you need history, go read a fucking book. Okay? Sorry. But during this time where people are saying that comply or die, and I've seen memes of
I could just say
I've seen memes of skinheads reenacting like police brutality on each other. People died, like people have died, are gonna die, are gonna continue to die, and they're gonna die at the hands of police because of systemic racism and other horrible shit. So yeah, we took down like 100 statues, and yeah, maybe one day we'll take down a statue of Abraham Lincoln. But are we going to stop murdering black men in the streets? And is taking these statues down going to help at all? This is me shaking my head no, because I don't think it's going to help very much. But I think I feel like this is what the conversation should be about, because we had all this media attention, and we got people calling BLM a terrorist organization. Like everyone's eyes are on us. So, like people were Googling BLM every single day for like a month, right?
So let me
think of something. What happened? What did we do with it? We took the statues down.
No, I know what we did.
So real quick though,
we made money.
I agree with Priestess, but I want to give everybody a second option. You don't have to read a book. You can find the statue at your local gun range.
Here, bro. Who invited this? This gun simpleton.
Calm down, Azzy.
Gun simpleton, I'm dead.
AR.
Let him get away with that.
Good lord.
Priestess, thank you for being
Can you keep your AR-15
at least someone is.
in your gun closet, please?
Gun closet. Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't. I have to think.
All right. Okay.
So I just want to. I would like to just conclude a reply, if I may. Liberals, Jesus. So I agree with High Priestess. I agree with the ideas of Venom Jesus and PrimeCayes. See, PrimeCayes is not even a part of the panel. This is why I'm so disappointed in you guys. I'm gonna do a Brady Bunch. I'm doing a Brady Bunch thing, right? People. Here's to Gambit. You have not said anything. Don't talk to me. Wiggle. You're so American, it's terrible. The reason we're taking down the statues is because we don't want any type of monetary. We see no monetary value in these statues. We don't want to make money off of them. We don't want our tax dollars to pay for them. We don't want them. We don't want them to exist. We don't want them to. I'm gonna say it again. We don't want. We don't want these statues to exist. We don't want money from these statues. They provide no value for the black community. Listen, is this not all black everything? We're not talking about America in general. We're talking about the black community.
Hey, Lady Raincloud.
I had a side thought, right? It's it's just real quick. It's like part of me thinks that like
liberals have no respect. I swear.
Yeah, but I mean, true. But like a part of me thinks like there's a timeline somewhere where Gambit and Fnatic aren't fighting. I'm just wondering what that timeline looks like and what consequences we have to make to get there. I enjoy this content, though. I'll give it that much.
Let me put my Malcolm X glasses back on. Go ahead, because you guys are so impatient. Go ahead.
Just being super wrong because he's arguing that there's some distinction.
Say that again? No, please stop. Hold on, as he stops.
Or if that makes any sense, because
well, Ben, I couldn't hear you. You were breaking up. Try it again. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, Hazzy, are you a socialist?
I would like to say I'm a moderate socialist.
Oh, you're a lib. You're a damn lib.
Yeah, I would see, because I feel like when you think of Steven, aka
so like women,
yes,
right? So like women itself is
Voldemort.
I'm having.
How could you be a moderate socialist? You're either a socialist or you be.
Right now, but let's go.
Moderate socialist.
I like to think I'm not. I have conservative ideals, but at the same time, as a Black American, I have to understand that what's good for Black Americans right now lies with the Democratic Party. This is why I agree with you guys in some things, but you guys get so the Democratic Party and liberals get so extreme that they miss things, and they just all hype gung ho on their ideas and narratives, that they're willing to like make money off of statues of racists.
Bro, because money is gonna provide more good than taking down the
this is how I know Wiggle has lawyers in his back pocket.
Okay.
I don't trust Wiggle.
I mean, he is friends with Peace Ghost.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore at this point. Like,
so let's get back to the issue.
It's the money that you collect, right? It's gonna go towards
taking down these statues is a net. It has no positive or negative effect to the Black community. It does not affect our monetary value. It may just embolden.
Okay, so why? So okay, look, I'm my opinion on this is. Well, it's one thing, but like I think you're making terrible points here. All right, this is I mean, this is garbage points.
They
right?
made
First
the
of all,
same exact
there's more
points
to
I made.
life. There's literally more to life than money. Like you made me say that motherfucking cliche just now. There's more life than money. Like what? It doesn't add anything to our monetary values. That means there's no utility in taking it down. No, if you're seeing literally little symbols of hate in your community, right? You're walking through and you're like, this is a symbol of hate. In the community that I live in, this is how my community sees me, right? What they think of me. Yeah, taking it down has some utility. Like, there's no monetary value. What? We never judge them. Any of them like that. Like, and if that's the case, then we should take down all statues. And I'm actually not quite against that.
I agree with that.
But like, but then like, why make it? So okay. All right.
That's my premise. If you allow me to get there, we take down all statues.
You've had a lot of time to fucking get what? Holy shit! You've had half the panel to get to whatever fucking point you're trying to make.
Wait, let me finish.
Don't worry. Look. I got you.
Uptight. The panties
I got you. Don't worry. We got you, buddy. Look.
Doesn't make any sense. Saying
what could we have?
Because if you say to me, I know this is fine. We need to
what
get
could
back
we have been?
The point is that
I'm
a definition.
What could we have
Let's
been
just take a moment. A moment of silence for our fallen brother.
Through the definition, I learned about the concept.
Oh, okay. Well,
what would have been a better use of our time during this summer, right? Like the summer of George Floyd, right? How could we have actually spent that?
Oh my god, I've been 2 hours.
Yes. And we had 26
yes,
minutes
part of it was what Gambit said, defund the police. Right now, Gambit think that's a waste of time, but
did they talk about
what the
but
fuck?
still, like what? I'm guessing.
Like at least in an
what's so tangible? What was a tangible victory that we could have gotten that we didn't get? All right, what was in our hands that we could have pushed for?
In an objective sense, it's
maybe. This is gonna sound a little weird, but I kind of feel like it's very easy to go to a demonstration, right? It's very easy to do what people were doing over the summer, and a part of me thinks that to your point, maybe Prime, that we kind of lost sight to a lot of momentum. Like we could have seen more galvanization and organization at the local level to really bully local politicians, whether it be your council members or your mayors or your governors, to create some type of change, right?
Thank you so much, Smug Pug.
And I think some areas may have lost the mark there, where it kind of like being able to go out and demonstrate is very sort of politically and socially convenient, I would argue.
Can I stop you there? But like you're saying, okay, we could have done some more like local pushes, like local political changes. But then that was defund the police, right? That's exactly what that was.
Right.
Bullying your mayor, your politicians, your city council.
You understand? Like, we're not going to stick on it. You understand why that makes no sense.
Right, and that's kind of my thought, where I think once I feel like we're in the process of like pulling the. What's it called? What's that thing called that people use in science classes?
Like it's a logical fallacy.
Protractor. I don't fucking know.
That's
the telescope. The
electron microscope.
Yeah, microscope. Holy shit! I went to school for music. Okay. So like I feel like we're pulling up the microscope and we're seeing like, oh, we could have like, I want to see at the local level like what actually changed. Like, I know for Jersey we're doing a lot of cool stuff, but I'm curious how other states have navigated this problem. Because not to say that Jersey got police reform, we saw changes due to politicians' desire to create changes. I'm just wondering what other states have done, because that's something I've been pondering for a while.
Yeah, we can talk about linguistics.
I don't know where this fits in your question, by the way, Prime, but it has been something in my mind.
Like, we don't have any.
I feel like there was so much focus on the national election and all that, but I think now is just time to start looking at the local, and that would be very beneficial for us to do now. But hindsight's 2020. Like, to look back at then and say like, oh, what could we have done? It's like we were doing what we thought we had to do. That's what we were doing.
Yes, me. Like, we had a moment. Like, you had like Trump, who's right-wing populist, right? That was the chance. If he came out against police and force, you would have that glorious, what people think cannot exist, like a right-wing and left-wing populism coming together for anti-police sentiment in the country, and you would have had a lot more unity against police in 2021. You would have had a unified message of like,
I feel like I can get
fuck you, don't come near me, don't charge me for this, don't follow me, don't bother me, and instead we have like the same situation we had more, but it's more like, I'd say it's more like politicized now, where you have people who are staunch supporters of the police and divided against people who are just anti-police.
I want to hear from Gambit and see what his take is here as to what we could have gotten, because Gambit, I know, again, was very much against the whole defund the police movement. So like, what do you think we could have done instead that might have been better use?
I think pushing for what I would consider reasonable police reform, like looking at some of the laws that are allowing like qualified immunity and things like that, or looking to actually increase funding in ways of like giving more people body cams and all of that stuff. Like, the reasonable things that we could have pushed for, we was like, yeah, let's just throw the police away. And it's hard that even I can't even understand why it's coherent to some people, but like, yeah, we should have pushed for more reasonable things like changing police laws, finding ways to disenfranchise the police union and things like that would have actually helped Black people, instead of, hey, let's just throw away the police. That's the whole problem.
Cup is a thing that carries liquid.
Okay, so my
based on that definition,
so I think that the energy that's been put into I think the problem we're seeing here is that the limits of protests, right? Like limits of demonstrations. This is what we ran into with George, and this is what we ran into with Occupy Wall Street, right? That was a big thing, right? You could literally have global movements, like just like the Black Lives Matter protests, just like Occupy Wall Street before it, where like literally the world knows about it. I mean, anyone who's paying attention, but the world knows about it, right? But then not much happens afterwards. In the end, it's all about organizing. Like, I think it's always that simple, is that you have to be organizing. If you're not organizing, you're not doing a goddamn thing. Like, I think maybe like the best you can hope for is in a moment like that, to be using it to like elevate people's minds, like have some sort of infrastructure that you can plug them into, right? So people are coming to protest. There's gonna be a certain number of them, right? There's a few of them who might stick with the movement afterwards, right? So like give them something to plug into, give them a task that they can accomplish, right? Like, and it's all about like small victories, right, along the way, right, before you get to that big victory in the end, right? To keep people motivated, invested, like not like yes, we're sure, ultimately we have to take down the whole white patriarchal society and and capitalism, right? Gamps for that, but like do all that stuff, but just like marching in the streets and like flipping cars isn't going to accomplish that. What do y'all think? I'm gonna unmute Azzy, so God help us all. But
Godzilla help us all.
Nice call back. But
y'all are lame, bro. Y'all are...
Maybe there was. Oh, sorry, I was gonna go.
Try and do that for me sufficiently in a single sentence.
Okay, so
it's like whatever I want.
If I was listening straight, we could have more equitable change if we had our focus more. I would say that all our problems lie with legislation, with law.
When we say thin concept,
we tend to be very
I can see
visually focused, optically focused, and we put all our energies into things that are very minor. This is why I'm saying like statues are very minor. Like they aren't. This was gonna be my closing statement, but it doesn't add to our community. It's not affecting our wealth. It's not affecting our health. It's not affecting our happiness or well-being. Laws are. So we should be more focused on changing laws that protect, and changing precedents and reforming and having reformations of authority, bodies of authority. That's what we need to focus on. So like the benefit of protest is that it starts the change of law. That's what the benefit of protest is. But other than that, everything else, it doesn't help. The damage doesn't help. Us looking violent doesn't help. That's why Martin Luther King said we have to have a non-violent movement, because it makes us look like the good guys.
Oh no, it happened.
Oh no.
Yes, it did. While wearing the Malcolm X glasses.
Then how isn't all right?
Well, here's a trivia question. How many times did Martin Luther King get arrested?
But like.
Not for violence. He got arrested a lot of times. That's what I'm saying. He was in the non-violent act. In the non-violent act, he got arrested. I don't understand.
Yeah, but but many followers got brutalized. Many supporters got brutalized. Non-violence was a way. And again, oh god, it's happening again.
Yes,
non-violence is
you're digging your hole.
No. Non-violence is one tool in the toolbox of all of the invokings of change. What happened with Martin Luther King is that, especially conservatives, they consider nonviolence as a philosophy, not a tactic. And that's basically my biggest critique about Martin Luther King. Because even when you look at a lot of his speeches later in his life and how he talked about things, he was very much in acceptance that his approach may have not been the correct path taken. And we hear this sentiment in his critique to the Vietnam War.
Not cut off the
right.
next thing. So like
but it doesn't negate.
I want you to find why this
High Priestess wanted to say something.
And then she proceeded to motivate that
because
more.
We have all these social
And
media platforms, people are able to have very large voices and very large followings around their voices. And because of this, I think we were extremely split. We didn't really have very much unity. I saw Fund the Police, I saw Abolish the Police, I saw Death the Police, I saw all kinds of things. There's all kinds of different, abolish bail. There was all kinds of movements that we had to fix this current problem that we were seeing. And I think that because it was so destructive and because so many people had so much momentum behind them, we kind of went nowhere. We did a whole lot of nothing. We had a little bit of, we had sporadic change here and there because we had a bunch of large yet sporadic ideas. I think that this Black community led us to doing a lot of things that didn't really help our movement at all. Like that autonomous zone in Portland, which I guess didn't really work out very well for them. So
when I'm saying us, yeah,
I think that if we were able to come together in a way, which I don't know if there is a way for us to do that as a community, especially because you know, we're not a monolith. Black people are not a monolith. Liberals, leftists, whatever, are not a monolith. It's going to be really hard to get us to come together. But if we were able to actually come together, whatever idea we had, I think we would be able to actually do something about that idea. I think a lot. When I was really against the riots, please attack me, cancel me. I didn't really like the riots during the BLM protests because I was really, they were like, well, you know, this is reminds us of the 60s and reminds us of the civil rights movement. And I very much, I don't know if I agree because I think of Rosa Parks and I think about her doing her civil disobedience, and there was a very concrete goal. We wanted to abolish the Jim Crow laws. It didn't abolish like racism or whatever, but the goal was like, let's no more Jim Crow. And it took some time, but sweepingly, we got rid of it, in my opinion. Well, not all Jim Crow laws, but a lot of them, a majority of them, and the biggest, most disgusting ones. And I think that a lot of that came from unity and a very focused goal, which we weren't very focused during that summer. We were just very angry.
I would say that the logical conclusion to all of this, if we really want to see change, and I'm very curious about how Polar thinks about this, I really think there needs to be a caucus that exists with like-minded individuals, like we start at like the party level, right? So there's got to be
Black Caucus.
No, not something that doesn't do shit. Something that actually creates change, like something something that is based off of the galvanization of the political movement on the ground. It's no different than the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party created the Tea Party caucus, period. So there's a way to, I think, to galvanize this and turn it into a mass, not only social, but political movement that can create actual change. And I think like the way that we could start, or something that we could start with, is maybe the politicians on the ground, when I say politicians on the ground, the ones that are kind of already against the grain, but it sucks because they also are kind of politically unpopular. Like one that comes to mind is Cori Bush. Like I don't know if that's something that she would want to endeavor, but I could definitely see Cori Bush as the face of an individual that could start a movement like that.
The project. It's
Yeah, to respond to Joe, having any form of like planned or like official and organized movement is probably really effective. So that whether that be getting like already having established political names, whether they're not popular, I don't even know if I would consider like Cori Bush as like unpopular. Like that's a weird word, but saying that like demonized, I think, is a better word. I don't think Bush is demonized. So I think that's actually a really interesting idea, right? Because a lot of times we tend to forget that there's a lot of like local power, like local political power, and local people who are really trying to do some shit that we just tend to forget about. So maybe like establishing a national caucus with like roots in each individual state, kind of like a they used to do this a lot more. They do this a lot for a lot of issues, but like just having any form of like organized power in the sense of like they can advocate for issues, they can get funding for specific events, they can propose policy is like one of the ways to really go forward, because like I think as you was somewhat right earlier, is that like legislation matters in a lot of these issues, but it's not just national level legislation, right? If you have a caucus like this, let's say this caucus is like has a branch in South Carolina, and South Carolina is having like terrible police laws, well, you can use that caucus to influence groups in South Carolina to pass those laws that they need. So I think it's a good idea, because like you can have activism groups, but influence, like using that activism and turning it into real political power is I think a recipe for success. So I agree with Joe.
But that's the premise of what we've been doing since the 60s. Like,
no, it's
to
not
say that. But no. Come on now. These people aren't that stupid that they didn't understand that institutions affect power. That's the Congressional Black Caucus, NAACP. They're still making moves to this day.
No, but the Congressional Black Caucus is not something. It's a galvanized. Sure, it's a committee, absolutely, and they have like meetings and stuff like that. But they don't have political power in the same way that the Tea Party caucus does, or even a committee that's issued to address problems.
The Tea Party caucus, but at this, the idea of them, they're the same type of body. It's just that one has more. I don't understand. I think
I have a question for you,
we're speaking too fast on it. Like, what do you mean the Tea Party has more power than the Congressional Black Caucus?
I can give you an example of like how like this power can differ, right? You are a Destiny fan. You knew about all that canvassing stuff, right? Like having that kind of power with a caucus that's able to do this kind of stuff on the ground, influence elections like this, is really useful. Like being able to outsource this to individual elections or individual areas, that's the kind of power that's needed, right? You probably want those state legislators. You probably want those policies being influenced there. So that's what we're looking for. Isn't just like like in the sense of like what the NAACP and Congressional Black Caucus have done, but like we want to see that power like spread out in these local areas where these like changes ought to be. Same with like the power represented by the Tea Party.
I'm confused because they themselves live in those areas. They themselves have been advocating for those areas since day one. I don't understand what we're talking about. They aren't exercising most of the Congressional Black Caucus is made up of Black Congress members. They themselves
Black Democrats.
I'm just not
Black Congress. It doesn't matter what they are. It does not matter.
It matters.
Thank you for clarifying something.
But
does not refute my point.
No, but that's incredibly important,
about
right?
the power of them.
Right, so like one of the things that Black Americans could do is understand that ideologically we're incredibly different people, not fixed in either party. So it's very strange to me how the Black Caucus and this entire sea of Black Lives Matter and the movement at large has not even remotely tried to reach across the aisle to the Black Congress members and there's the Senate.
First of all, how many are there? Right, we got Tim Scott. We got
identification.
Tim Stott, Burgess Owens, Brian Donalds.
So now you're talking about in Congress.
To an extent.
No, sorry,
I mean the House
Representative. Sorry, House Representative.
Yeah, like House of Rep, we have 2 currently. Those are the 2 that I know off the top of my head. But they just got in there, right?
Yeah.
So
well, yeah,
Burgess
and Black Republicans. I don't know. So I'll ask you this: what is the utility in reaching out to Black Republicans? Like,
well,
yeah.
If anything,
I understand what Joe is saying.
I asked Joe.
If anything, it shows a desire, an understanding that at the very least, I think at the bare minimum, the 2-party system doesn't really favor either party, right? So something I think of just representative power would be to get Tim Scott within the Black Caucus, get Byron, get Burgess.
No, I disagree. I disagree hard here. But go ahead. Finish your point.
So then, so would you rather? So then, I guess the question is, would you rather have the Republican representatives in the House and the Senate unite under the Black Caucus, or would we rather have the Black Caucus in their current state, which they didn't do anything in the CU of all this protest?
So what I'd say is that the reason why the Black Caucus hasn't done anything, right?
Literally the phrase.
And it's been a pretty useless body in the first place is because one, they don't have unified goals, right? Like
I agree.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not like they have priorities that they are going to accomplish. Just like be positive for Black people, but understanding that their members, right? Have very diverse set of opinions, ideologically, especially, right? And so, I mean, it's the problem with the Democratic Party writ large, right? Is what's in the Black Caucus. So, but bringing in, like, what is the utility of bringing in Tim Scott into this situation, right, or whoever the fuck else, right? It doesn't add to them, and. Like,
I can bring it up.
Sure. It doesn't add to it. It doesn't it won't help them come up with a priority to actually accomplish, right? And when they have power, right, they barely ever use it. Like they barely ever use it to like say like, well, the CBC will hold back our votes, right? We won't give our support to this bill, right? Because of X reasons. They don't do that. That's what the Tea Party did. That's how they got power. That's how they got feared in Washington, because they actually weren't, well, part of the Tea Party. They weren't fucking around, right? So, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I wish they would do, right? As much, and it sucks about it is because the House, the Senate, I should say, is so incredibly fragile. There's 2 members of the Black Caucus that are in the Senate. And they're Democrats. That's so much political power in this fragile state of the Democratic Party. So they could easily, even though I think Cory Booker's a fucking traitor, he could at least, very least, just go like, hey, as a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, I do not support this bill because it doesn't support Black Americans in X, Y way. And then Democrats have to go, oh shit, we got to cater to the Blacks now. Fuck. So now they have to do one of 2 things: either cater to Republicans to make their bills they're already unpopular through, or try to get two Democratic senators on board. I think the easier route would be to get the 2 senators.
Hold on, but we've seen because our problem is that we're dealing with establishment Democrats, right? And establishment Democrats kowtow to Republicans all the time in their demands, even when they literally don't have to. Yes, I'm talking about President Obama.
Exactly, right.
So like that's the thing that happens here.
Exactly.
That
so like
the Congressional Black Caucus has been because it's not ideological. This is the same thing with the Progressive Caucus, right? Like the Progressive Caucus that has no fucking progressive goals and accomplishes no progressive tasks, right? And that doesn't like enforce its borders, right? Like do you line up with these this and that goals, right? Like will you not take money from a big business or something like that? They don't enforce anyone, and literally anyone can sign up to be part of the Progressive Caucus, right? So that's why I'm trying to keep the CBC as useless as it's been so far from doing that as well. Like, oh, I guess Republicans, they have dark skin, so they have they have our best interests in mind, right? Like let's go to the Supreme Court, ask our good friend what's his face, whether he feels like, I can't remember his name now, but
yeah, that's kind of my point kind of was that I wish it sucks, right? Because I wish the caucus functioned in the type of capacity I'm describing, because it's basically, I would argue, and I think I agree with you here, Prime, is it's just kind of just squandered political power, where like it's obviously shout out to Newt the fucking piece of shit. He fucked up caucuses and committees, all right? But with that being said, it's unfortunate that there's got to be a way that we can galvanize this political power that exists within these movements. And I think the way that we could start, I think, is with the representatives that are new to the game. Granted, I'm having interviews with kind of looking at AOC a little sus a bit, but I think there's still time to try to I don't want to say save these people. It sounds very like hyperbolic,
even though he's trying
to like
gender them,
find a way that we can like create political power within this movement.
Certain kind of external
I would say that the argument for having like Republicans actually work on this during the CBC is that like political partisanship, especially in Washington, probably isn't that good of a thing. Like I'd rather them have like progressive policy that I like that both groups agree on. Like if we had a reality, let's say like 20 years down the line, and we had like Medicare for all this being up on the vote, I'd rather have Medicare for all the exact same policy with both parties like pushing it through rather than one party, because I don't want to get to the point of the eternal power struggle. I'm not like in favor of that. It doesn't seem to be like it only seems to make political situations worse. Like the whole merry-go-round of like specific policy that benefits people and then doesn't, then does, and doesn't. But I would agree that like it's not as simple as that. You're right. Like a lot of caucuses are just like shelled out political power, political power that ought to be utilized. This way changes in the future.
How would letting in Tim Scott make get the Republican Party to work for Black issues? Like
what are you guys talking about?
So Prime is specifically referring to like why would we work with Tim Scott, right?
Yeah, and Black Republicans in general, but like
sure.
yeah.
I would say so. Like this is something that like this is the same way that I'd probably address everything else. Is that I wouldn't leave Tim Scott out of the negotiations. That's not what I'm saying. But I would say if Tim Scott is to come in here and we have like this policy, we're like this would be great for Black people, and Tim Scott is like, I hate this. I'm not gonna like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass the policy, but I'm not gonna necessarily ignore every single consideration that Tim is having. So leaving him out of every conversation probably isn't the best.
So I think the problem we're running into here is what is the point of the Congressional Black Caucus? What should be the point of that? Like what's it trying to actually accomplish here? Like a general welfare for Black people? Go ahead.
You can't tell.
It's outdated.
It's outdated. Have you guys even just Google Congressional Black Caucus? Okay. Google Elijah Cummings. What the heck are y'all talking about?
It's outdated. That's all I'm saying. It's just
outdated. It's goals that it's wanted, right? So it's like think about this, right? If you want
Go ahead,
so if you want something to get passed, right, you need support, right? If you need more people to bring you support, you need more people to bring you support. If you're only looking for Black individuals, I'm sorry to tell you that we're a very small percentage of the population, right? You need to get more people on board. To get more people on board, you have to open up and coalition build. Therefore, you need a bigger message. If you wanna have a very specific message that fits only Black individuals, you need more Black individuals in power. So right now we're not able to do that. You need to open up your messaging. You need to bring on more your white liberals that you speak of. You need to bring on more white people, I guess, in general. Doesn't have to be white. You just need to bring on more people and have a specific unified message that helps all Black people. And if there's an underlying thing there that puts more Black people in power, that benefits you. Then eventually you can go back and have your congressional back caucus, but now it'll be more powerful because there'll be more members in it.
Let's also remember that that the cringe that happened with Nancy Pelosi and the Quinte.
Yeah.
Just remember the CBC it gave that to them. So
oh my god. No, Joe, like I think also the power of this is like they tend to focus on a lot of federal issues. Like for example, like they can't do as much as a regular political party, but what they can do is engaging in endorsing specific political candidates, like Black political candidates, maybe going out and for example, like going to a rally of a specific candidate in an area and then rallying up support there too. Like they don't necessarily have the funds to do something that a political party can, but what they can do is endorse, engage, go to those events, help out those candidates, at least in state and local elections, and make that.
Okay, let's test that, Polar. Let's test that. Okay, so we're letting in Republicans, so we're going to go and endorse Black Republicans. What if we had another Marjorie Taylor Greene, but with a tan? Is that we're gonna back her up because she's Black?
So here's what I would say. I could kind of follow through with what I was going earlier. There's probably a good reason to say that this caucus probably wouldn't be primarily Republican, right? There's just not enough Black Republicans in Congress to make that difference. So if you're going to make the if you were going to elect a candidate, yada yada yada, I think if you wanted the support of this caucus, you'd have to get a majority vote for each individual candidate. It's 50 people. You probably want them to vote and be like, hey, we're going to endorse this individual. And since the majority of them are Democrats,
so why would I be a Republican once a Republican who has not gotten support of CBC, right? But has gotten to Congress anyway. Why would I join them if they're not supporting Black Republicans anyway, Troy? Because of what you're saying.
Well, the surprise part a bit. This is why I'm a big advocate of electoral fusion, where I think if we're looking at the Working Families Party, which is basically, even though I am, just to be clear, I am a very avid supporter of that the political platform. I would say that electoral fusion might be able to work to galvanize. Not galvanizes.
Rather than a woman.
Can you explain what this term means?
What is electoral? So it's the arrangement where you take two or more political parties and put them in the same ballot for a candidate. So I could be running as a Republican or as a Democrat, because in certain areas I would be you or I would be kicked out of certain elections just because we're Democrat or just because we're Republican, as that looks like for our primaries, despite the fact that you might not be able to support. This is a Jersey specific thing. I don't know if this exists everywhere because I only voted in Jersey.
That's why, when I was voting, there was the Working Families Party. Yeah, had the same names as the Democratic Party and shit.
Yeah. Okay. They already do that, Joe.
No, but I'm saying that if you had an individual who's Republican, right, and you wanted to vote for them as Republican, you could only do that. For example, in the state in New Jersey, you were a registered Democrat.
How does that solve the problem that?
What is y'all? Yeah, it doesn't solve any problem.
Yeah,
my point is that I want to strive towards people being able to exist within both parties. So and it kind of happens a little bit already, but it's not as overt, right? So you will have friendships within the House of Representatives, within the Senate, and within those friendships, you build small coalitions of people who are Republicans and Democrats just working together on bills. Maybe right now, I think in the frontward look of it, it seems like politicians, they respect each other, but there's a lot of moderate infighting. But a lot of, as an example, right, a lot of representatives respected Kamala Harris because of many reasons, no different than Joe Biden.
So I think you get fucked, won't if you step out of line, won't the DNC or the GOP just fuck you?
that's on
I'm
its
pretty
face.
sure
like,
Kamala
concerned.
Harris is part
sorry,
of
just
the
to pause again,
CBC.
just to make sure that we really get that.
No, she's the vice president.
So, what
But-
RGR is saying?
Yeah, but at one
your-
point,
your
she was
description of
aligned
what
with
it
the
is that she's
CBC.
saying. It's not
right,
society.
but being in the CBC and being Democrat was just like synonymous.
But it's not about being
things,
Democrat. It's about
then you
advocating for
society
issues of
builds
the black community.
first,
That's what they've
Right.
been doing,
then
and that's
you-
they've been. Matter of fact, they have
Society
bills
makes
that they passed in
first,
2019. Of
It's not that you do.
they have,
What did they-
like
what did they
you're
pass
saying
in
they're
20
outdated.
Yes.
The
Bagel
okay, so I
is
can read it
sitting
right
in our
now.
chat,
Wait,
like,
Azzy,
HR
Azzy,
411,
doing every
the
Azzy.
opportunity zone,
nail.
Oh, God.
every
and
Okay.
racial and religious profiling act of 2019.
Joe, you want to tell
Wait.
them about
But
opportunity
that's fine.
zones?
That's
They
cringe.
fucking
but
suck.
Oh, you know what?
You wanna do it
Opportunity
for
zones are
There's the premise that we're too poor to utilize opportunity zones.
You were
Which
also
isn't
No.
that true, because there's plenty of black people.
I am a
utilize-
avid supporter against opportunity zones. So I want to make very clear about what the reservation is. It's gentrification on steroids because it forces people out of communities that already exist there. The problem isn't
You're not
opportunity zones.
forced out of the community.
No, absolutely. When you build up a community through commerce, rent is going to start going up because there's no rent protections in those areas. So
No,
as those
that's on-
areas get
that's on-
modernized, the
But that's
cost
if
of
you're-
living there increases.
No.
So-
That's based on commercial renting. If you're
Right,
in-
but there's no regulations for commercial companies to come in there and just build up. This is why we see Starbucks everywhere.
So then
That's
rally your black troops to get all your black wealthy class to go into those opportunity zones, which we're trying to get those that premise.
that's a move 5 head take. That's a
No,
move
listen.
5 head take.
Well, it's happening currently because in Baton Rouge, there's a
Not
guy
McDonald's.
named.
Oh man.
Oh my God! I'm not gonna go into specifics because you guys
go
are
into the
just.
specifics.
High Priestess.
Yeah, well, I'm giving specifics, and we're trying to
One second. High Priestess. Is that your exit? You sending me your viewers?
So here's like a
Yeah. But High Priestess, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you as always, friend. Good luck on the homework. Let us know if you need help. We can stop the panel. Unlike assist, I think Ash
You're
probably.
gonna stop the panel to help me do my homework. You're gonna watch videos on babies. Is that what you want to do tonight?
Babies. Okay.
I know. My book is always fun, to be honest. You get to write listen to this and read kids' books. But anyway,
High
you know,
Priestess, you're
Talk about
MVP.
black issues.
High Priestess, please come back. We love having you here as always, buddy. Have a good one.
Keep inviting me. Good night.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay. So, all right. I just wanted to go back. Hold on, before we go to the whole opportunity zones. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Then you can yell at Azzy again. It's very entertaining. Joe Lewis.
If you put on makeup,
I don't know how your electoral fusion thing like addresses the problem I was saying. Like, the problem is you're talking about like people should exist in both parties. Well,
firstly, there's a
look,
normativity there, right?
I would love
But
that to be the
also,
case.
I think you're thinking
I would
too
actually
much
love
in
that
terms of
because
activity,
that would
right?
actually
And it's
heighten
more
our
like,
political
so
power, right? If
Judith Butler says gender is a stylized
if politicians had to fight for us, like if Republicans thought they honestly had a shot in taking like a majority or like a plurality of the black community, right? Like that would like change the game. We love that. Here's the thing: Republicans suck, right? Look, it is what it is. They suck. The policies are tend to be anti-black, right? Oftentimes specifically so, right? So let's not pretend that we're working on equal thing, right? Like this is between like fish and chicken, right? Like this is something. So this is why I have a problem with just like letting any motherfucker into the to CBC and the CBC in general because of just fucking how useless it is. But like we have to figure out what we're trying to do or what are we trying to accomplish, what goals, because if Azzy is right, if the CBC sponsored opportunity zones, it's a perfect reason why it's completely defunct. Like what is it accomplishing for us? What is it actually doing instead of putting money in the pockets of those who are wealthy, right? They're donors.
Or
what are they doing? They're a useless organ. Am I right? Am I wrong here?
So she could have.
Yeah, I'm with you there too.
Disagree.
And that's kind of like my frustration with it, right? Where it's like I think a lot of the solution again, like I want to posture. I was posturing a bit where I think like we can like adopt these things overnight. We're not going to fucking adopt these things overnight. I'm sorry, Maurice. I love you. I love you. I give a lot of money to Working Families Party, but in the current state of the country, I'm a little frustrated. But that being said, I think a lot of the changes in how we vote could solve some of the problems, right? Like being able to like ranked choice voting. Like I want to disincentivize the idea that you can just be Republican and not cater and just like just blinders on an entire side of your electorate. I don't know how we
that's not true. That's not happening. It's just that they're Republican. Yeah, I mean, get rid of the electoral college. Yes, people say that, but that's not going to happen because people want to be able to advocate for things that they care for. A lot of things that the CBC is advocating for will not help Black Republicans.
Connect the CBC to advocation to the electoral college.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm saying get. Prime was saying get rid of the electoral college. Yes, that I was just saying that. But I'm coming back to the point that the CBC is like the original purpose is to advocate for low-income, oppressed Black and poor and colored communities. Generally, Black Republicans are not oppressed,
and they're having an internal.
They're not oppressed or low income. A lot of things that are happening in the Republican Party is for their benefit. Like specifically like middle class and high class. Matter of fact, why is what's his name?
But they're actually
the rapper. Why are all these rappers trying to re-elect Trump? It's because they're trying to save money.
Okay, I have no
idea.
They're
not trying to join the CBC.
Sorry, go ahead, Polar, please.
Yeah, so I probably should make this clear. I think currently, I think Prime is right. Like the current state of the CBC, if you want it to be like a bipartisan like organization, it's going to be difficult to like specifically endorse candidates. But if we go with what Joe was talking about, with like a new caucus that's necessarily dedicated to these things, then you could probably have something like that where you don't really care about getting Republicans on.
What's the point?
Let me speak. Okay, so the value of that would be that you don't necessarily have to like. There is value in having bipartisanship there, but it's also probably valuable to have black people who care about these issues and in the sense that we care about them, and then being able to go endorse individuals, then maybe able to like go out and help those individuals, then like work with them on creating specific like very progressive policy in like progressive for Black people in comparison to the current state of the CBC, which endorse opportunity zones, which in reality don't have the protections necessary to stop the gentrification of those areas. To be specific, the policy talks about having like lower tax rates, and for example, not paying like I think some form of tax until 10 years after the initial like prime investment. And as a result, when you have all of those like when you have new people buying rent, when you have all those increased businesses, when you have the property of land values go up, that only makes it more difficult for the African American, like the Black people who live there, to live there again. It's just like it's literally one, it was endorsed by Trump for a specific reason. So for him and his rich buddies, you just go there, make a fuck ton of money, and then not pay taxes for a long fucking time.
But at the same time, we're benefiting because our rich brothers and sisters are actually going to those opportunity zones too. It's just that the low-income people won't be able to utilize it. Yes, that is a factor.
That's the goal, though. If they're already rich, and Black, that's not who we're trying to help out.
Generally, if you no. But that's the point. It's the passing on of wealth from the rich Black people to the. I thought we were talking about unifying the Black Republicans and Black Democrats. I thought that was Joe's premise.
We're calling out policies not good for the majority of African Americans who live in those areas.
Yeah, so like as an example, right? Like my answer. So I will counter your House resolution with one that actually solves opportunity zones, which is I talked about this on stream before. It's HR 4999, and that bill amends the IRS, the Internal Revenue Code, with respect to opportunity zones. So basically, what that does, it requires Qualified Opportunity Fund to have an investment advisory board to meet certain investment diversity and affordable housing requirements. So what that is this bill was designed as a direct answer to the problems that Cory Booker and Tim Scott were peddling and being in agreement on. It's like this was a reaction to that, and unfortunately, that's still as of now still sitting as it just introduced. It was introduced by Henry Hank Jr. Henry Johnson. I forget his fucking name. He's a
which one of those determines.
So that was like a direct answer to that, and something that if I'm the Congressional Black Caucus, this is something that was co-written. Like this bill is literally a response to a Black woman who saw the problem with opportunity zones. Then a representative reached out to her and said, "Hey, you want me to make a bill out of this? Like this is a really cool idea."
Yeah, I got the name. Donald S. Bear Jr. or Bear. Donald S. Bear Jr. So but that still doesn't refute what I said though, because if we have a law that mandates diversity in opportunity zones, and we're now putting opportunity zones in low-income areas, it gives access to black people.
I don't get this. It's like, why even focus so much on this? It's like
because
you want like there's more black workers than there are black business owners. Just focus on
that's the issue of the black community, to tend to go to service and work
oh God,
jobs.
please don't.
But that's another conversation.
You can't
I'm not getting into that.
No.
I'm not getting into what
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm not getting into
we don't have
all right, Kanye. Okay. Chill.
Okay, go
At
ahead.
the same
Go
time,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you guys
GSU
are having like
Gambit.
headaches.
Let's
Like
try,
this
let's
isn't
try
that
GSU
complicated.
Gambit for a second.
Listen, everybody can't be a CEO.
They're not okay. Someone
In every community, there's going to be more workers than bosses. There's going to be more poor people than rich people. It's asinine to act like there's like you can say that black
I'd
people.
rather my boss be black than white. I'm sorry.
So go work
Can you fault me for that?
I'd rather my boss pay me well.
Is that what we're heading to?
Leave being black to me and just pay me
finance
better.
black wealth? Is that not what we're heading to? I don't understand. What do we want? What do you want, Joe? You just want everybody to be
this is like The Wire, bro. Money agreement,
Sounds like kumbaya to me.
What I want, so like,
Okay, hold on. Let him finish. Go Gambit.
I got you. Go get a software engineering degree and stop these bad takes. And I will hire you, and you will have a black boss. So if you want a black boss,
software degree, because STEM is the only area.
I don't get black bosses. Like
your problem. I got a solution.
I don't know.
We already have Robert F. Smith. Who's the richest black man in America? Who's the richest black man in America? Hold on. Who's the richest black man?
It's either Tyler Perry or the BET guy, right?
You are so wrong,
Polar. Actually, neither.
It's sickening. It's Robert F. Smith, the CEO of Vista Equity. What is Vista Equity? A finance company. Come on, guys.
Wait.
STEM.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
What?
Do you think that by having opportunity zones without these regulations, that like African Americans are just gonna like instantly become like equity owners and become capital gains? Like,
well, we're
like
13% of America. It's not like we're gonna just all of a sudden our problems are just gonna go away with opportunity zones, but it's a step forward. That's the purpose.
That's not what I'm saying.
It's not a step back.
Right.
You guys are so doom and gloom. It's like white people are just gonna come in droves. White Europeans are just gonna come in droves and steal our opportunity zones.
But we're not.
That's what it's saying.
We're not creating regulations so that we don't have opportunity zones at mass. Mind you, they passed, by the way. So this is gonna be a problem we're gonna see in the next 10 years. Where I don't want to see a situation where Amazons go in those places, Starbucks, corporations that don't have any business being in those communities and aren't attached to those communities. That's one of the problems with Walmart when they go into areas of the Midwest and the South, where they just find a plot of land that's really low and not really popular, and they just shit in Amazon right next to it. And then that shit's a Starbucks, and that Starbucks shits a Target, and that Target shits a Starbucks inside of the Target, and then it's like, look at all these, like, look at all.
Joe, that's not how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
No, because it's usually the state government who's incentivizing tax cuts for Amazon to come in and come to my state.
No,
it's not just because of opportunity zones that they just move. And, come on now. We're just trying to generalize everything.
Let me make it even more direct.
You live in Jersey.
Cory Booker was right. Let him respond, please, Joe.
Yeah, and the local food workers union found that in every tri-state area, at each corner of a full tri-state area, there's a Walmart in New Jersey.
But that's not
because
they get huge tax cuts.
Yes, it's because of right. So if we created something that revised the revenue tax code so that these businesses would have to make reports of, hey, how are you looking to reinvest in these communities that you're coming into? That's a good thing, because then I'm totally fine with them building a Walmart in there, but you have to prove what are you going to do for that community.
Yeah, so as let me help.
No, I don't need help. I get it. You want a black political
no.
Okay, go ahead.
Take some help.
Go ahead, please.
Listen, if companies and corporations move in, the land values are going to increase. If there's nothing to help the people who are poor that live there now, they now have to move because they can't afford the new prices. So what Joe is saying is, hey, those companies that move in have to have an investment strategy into infrastructure in the community that will help those poor people disproportionately become better off. So those citizens that live there need some kind of economic funding, and these companies who are taking advantage of the opportunity zone tax policy should be helping fund those people's success. That's
so what do you propose? What do you propose? Because that's a very general take, and it's not just going to help black people. It's going to help every no, because that's going to help every low income individual, because that's a low income problem.
It doesn't have to help.
Well, the thing is right now.
Well, that's what black institutions are for. They're for black people.
Right, but the problem is, again, we're saying I'm for more black business owners. I don't want there to be Amazons there first because they have more capital to do so. Like
tell your local government or your local politician to not incentivize Amazon to come to our area.
But the problem is,
finish your point, and then I want to go to the poll.
Yeah, but that's one of the problems, right? Because a lot of, especially like I'm going to use an anecdote here, which is really bad. But my old township gave that problem to Walmart, and they said, "Look, you have to show that you are contributing to the community, or we're not going to allow you to build this permit." So they kicked it out of my township, and they just went to the township next door, and then they're like, "Well, we don't care." And it's like, all right, well, fuck us, right? Because just because like one township is like Walmart, we don't want you in here. And they're like, okay, shit, we got 1,000 more.
But how is that help? But how is that the CBC's fault?
I feel like
we're so far away from that right now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so in chat, I'm about to post a link that specifically refers to a case study of like what's expecting to happen in a place like Houston with opportunity zones. 2/3 of the neighborhoods most susceptible to gentrification in the near future are located in opportunity zones. These places are already being gentrified. This is only making things worse because of the regulation that's not put into place, as Joe mentioned. So the issue is that the people in these areas, predominantly black, right, are going to have this specific issue. They're going to get kicked out, and they're not going to face they're not going to reap the reward, as you say, Azzy. What we need is more regulation in that sense from from people like Joe.
Okay,
that's an assumption. Wait, how's that an assumption?
No, because you're just basing it off of historical principle.
I'm not. No.
It's data. It's hard data.
Look at what I just sent you.
Data is historical.
Wait, Azzy, can you
Oh my God. By your example, we cannot know statistics. You can't make any form of predictive data. Like you can't make any form of prediction on the basis of past data because guess what? It's from the past. Every economic study that predicts any form of public policy, shit, we can't do it because guess what?
And they did
statistics are based. Probability is based off of past data.
I don't care about. No.
So you just said that you cannot advocate for opportunity zones, right? You can't because it's it's like you can't advocate for it at this point,
He said
right?
something more important. He said you can't trust data, so now we know that. Just don't engage, y'all.
No, it's not that you can't. No, I did not say that. Y'all are so extreme.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying that you put too much
Can somebody
clout in
put
data.
that in
Too much clout in data.
Well, I agree with that statistic. Like, well, if we just use statistics in a vacuum, right, they're going to come with like poor outcomes.
I gotta stop you, Joe. You can't say you gotta agree. You can say everything you're about to say. Don't say you agree with.
Yeah. So
we're gonna lose our liberal bases.
No, so the problem.
Everything's gonna fall apart.
Again, my concern here is right, and this might even be a good thing that's head into the McDonald's topic, right? Because something that opportunities create, which has been shown, which I was hoping to get to the McDonald's topic at some point, is the problem with opportunity zones. Because basically McDonald's would be like, we love black people, and they just fucking shit McDonald's. And then they're just like, oh, you black business owners, have your McDonald's. We're never going to look at the conditions of this McDonald's, but we're going to critique the shit out of you every time you show up and critique you on the smallest thing, but we're not going to give you the same type of financial sort of safety nets. Oh yeah, first your shake machines. You think we don't fix the shake machines in the suburbs?
You would be wrong.
We're gonna be like a dad on Christmas who's in divorce. Like we're never showing up at this section.
Wait. So
that's like my concern. Like I want there to be better. I'm in support of opportunity zones with regulation, so we don't have situations that they're just like coming in there and just causing everything to skyrocket. And there's ways you can do that, right? You can do like again, like it depends on where you fall ideologically, right? You can think of like, oh, rent freezers, where like your rent can't increase a certain percentage over the course of over X amount of years. You can do certain things like job guarantees, where the business has to employ 70% of
my knowledge of opportunity zones is limited, but it seems like all right. If these businesses are what tax incentivized to come to a certain area, but it's like if I the idea I guess is that they're creating jobs in the area for people. So it's like if I get that job, am I gonna have a higher salary because they pay less in tax, or is it the same goddamn job if I lived where the job was before?
What a thought, Wigger, is that they'll be
miserable thinking.
This video and find about what we're doing.
No, I did not.
Is this like
I'm sorry that you
like the ring?
went in
It's like
because full of
if you
pampers.
watch the
But
video of us talking
no,
about this,
the thought process
somebody else
is
think you're gonna end
that
up
those
having
companies
the same
would
disagreement.
be making economic
Anyone who watches
changes
it
in the
7 days
community
later.
so that more people would be well off.
We solved
So
this
the person
video.
that gets the job is
It's
not
a
going to
logical
become like
fallacy,
a
but we can't work
$30
out
per
if
hour
it's a tautology or not.
clerk, but it's possible
Hey,
that
that's
because
progress.
there's investments in education, that person is able to get things that would not
Well,
have
Chad
happened
agrees
if
with you.
those companies wouldn't have moved in.
I don't like it. To me, it seems like setting some form of like precedent that's just allowing people like businesses to profit more. Just give the money to the workers originally. Like I don't like the idea of all right, we're gonna have a tax incentive for a business to come in here. That just seems like all right, we're gonna choose the businesses that we like, the people we're in bed with, to move here so they can get more profit, extract more profit from the people, from the workers. Why not just have better policies for workers?
That's a good critique of things that you could try to get those companies to do. I don't think anyone here, maybe Azzy, but I don't think anyone else here disagrees.
Art is replicating life.
Well, it depends, right? Because again, I support opportunities under regulation, but one of the concerns is what I was bringing up the Walmart example is because the township next door to me gave the same proposition to Walmart, and they're like, we're going to donate to all the schools in this township. Which is all the schools are going to get money straight from Walmart. And then my township's like, poggers. And then we found out that the maximum donation that you can give to a single school district is set to a certain cap. I'm not going to say the number. Let's just have the peace of mind of knowing it's disgustingly low, like lower than a stimmy low. And this is just what they have to do for the entire school year. So basically what's happening is Walmart is essentially cutting a less than $2,000 check and going, here's your stimulus, you peasants, and they're just fucking letting it rock. But they're still getting the tax incentive because they're fulfilling the need of the township. And granted, like my representatives in the neighboring township,
because I would rather
concern, and the representatives are finally, I think, after like 2 years ago, like right before I moved, they found out. So like around like 2019ish, like they were actually looking into this for like Walmart, but that's at the point now where Walmart is a fixture of the community in all the wrong ways, where it's like basically it's too big to be stopped at this point.
So do we want to we're trying out this new format, but do we want to move on to the McDonald's one? This one Joe has been talking about, but like it kind of relates to what we're talking about in which way.
My topic's never gonna make
because it fits really well,
Yeah.
but I feel like we could go
you're
on
very
that shit for like an
charismatic, so
hour
I'll
and a
take your
half,
word for
and we
it.
have like 30 something minutes, right?
No, we have an hour.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do that shit right now. Then.
Okay, all right.
That's my vote, at least.
Sure.
Let's talk about black finance. Y'all ain't ready. Look at you.
Riley, please. No,
I'm saying,
boys.
hear me out, all right?
Dusty computers.
You have an amazing statue that everyone wants to see, but you make it portable, and you move it from black community to black community, and you bring in tourism, and it helps fund the area, and then if it gets gentrified,
You're the Michael Jordan of the
panel.
I'm like, how much money do you think
I want to
statues
hear what
make?
he said.
Oh my
Wiggle.
god.
Oh,
It's
how
like-
much money?
it's
How much money do I think statues? Think about this.
Say it again.
How much money do statues not make? Then they'd be making
What are
money.
you talking about, bro? Statues don't bring wealth.
Okay.
Like, how
That's
are
not true.
statues help-
People follow
free
hot dog
advertising.
You're
cars.
talking about the
Free
you're talking about the
advertising.
working class jobs that black
Bro.
people have when they clean the
I
statues.
make a fish. And then I take that fish and I make it big as fuck, and I put it somewhere, and now people want to take pictures of it, and people want to drive there to see it. All right.
Okay,
We're
It's like the
Jamaica
hot-
now.
oh
We're
my
Jamaica now, and our whole economy is based off of tourism.
and you're maximize the
Welcome to Florida. Like,
we take these other
God, bro,
statistics us, right? And we just allow advertisement on them. Just let the McDonald's like sign, like just written on the statue, and like just get money from advertisements, right? Just
oh, that's fucked up. I like it.
Well, just so we're clear, Venom lives in a country where they have statues of Bolsonaro and they just parade them all across Brazil. Okay.
Look at their country. Look at their country. It'd be kind of
funny.
It's so far.
It'd be kind of funny if like you kept the statues up, but you let like people like throw shit at them. Like you charge people like a tomato or something.
Brazil that have like the most slavery and racism, and they're using
I'm not a lawyer.
Statues
I'm not a lawyer.
Get money. No,
it's not slavery. It's
just let's go to McDonald's.
It's just third world. It's okay.
That's my personal.
It's third world for a reason.
Wow.
Let's
the sixth largest population.
Hold on, wait. How am I being cringe by pointing out how you are being?
I love Brazil. BLM all day.
How the fuck is that being?
Okay, let's try going to our the topic that we skipped.
And lead themselves into bad situations that you will lead them into if people make your argument.
All right, so it was topic 1 that we had skipped previously. Herbert Washington is a black owner of a dozen McDonald's franchises and has recently filed a discrimination lawsuit against the company. He claims that McDonald's relegates black owners to operating stores in poor neighborhoods, which are less profitable. The company refutes this and claims Herbert simply has mismanaged his own business. Does Herbert's story sound believable? Does McDonald's? How did I write this? Is McDonald systematically biased to black owners? If so, can African American entrepreneurs ever find equal success in white-dominated spaces, or do we have to create our own opportunities? All right, yeah, I'm gonna place this in chat, but please don't judge me. I know what I was thinking. I was writing this. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but just
opportunity zones.
Opportunity zones. So anyway, be more. McDonald's.
What is gender?
So this is going to be a very interesting case, and I really want to see how it develops, because I'm pretty sure there has to be something predatory and fishy going on for there to be such a large discrepancy between white and black owners, you know? So the article's short. I want to see what everybody else kind of has to say about it, but like this is it. Like he's going to get his day in court, hopefully, and we're going to be able to see some shady shit, and at this current moment I believe him. So we'll see what happens.
I really like your
let's go, Joe Lewis. Actually, Joe Lewis, let me save you for last, because I know you really want to talk about this.
Oh, it almost blew up.
I'm an American. You cannot you do that to Brazilians. You don't put Americans in the back.
You do that to me all the time. Am I not American? Hush, Joe.
You what? You been... Okay. What the? Okay. All right. Anyway, moving on. Venom Jesus.
Thank you, Kat, for staying around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on
by
the
the way.
same boat
Tease,
as
like,
B more like I mean, fuck if I know, right? If the guy is correct, I mean, it seems like there would need to be a reason why there would be a discrepancy. You know, it could be like straight up just fucking malicious and weird as shit, or it could be just as simple as just implicit bias, right? Like the larger company goes on and looks at the guy and looks at and thinks, well, let's put him next to the people who are more like him. And this happens to be the impoverished communities, and then they use this kind of twisted logic, and it ends up having the result that it has, which is that these people get paid less, right? It could be anything. It really is up for. I need to see something. I need to see other information besides just the article to make like a conclusion. I would like pieces of racial discrimination. They're very hard to prove in court. So I'm excited to see like exactly what they're going to come up with to prove the case.
My brand is being a terrible streamer.
Wiggle.
Yeah, so like when I was looking at this originally, it led into like reading about something else that occurred. Like it was like in 2019 or 2015 or something, that there was like another complaint about like how McDonald's was doing these practices. Apparently like a former like CEO, something like I'm reading right now, Steve Easterbrook, and this other individual, Chris Kempczynski, who came on board in like 2015 and acted like a bunch of policies that disproportionately affected like, black owners of like or black franchisees, and when you look at the numbers, it's just like Be More said, it's extremely like suspicious. Like it's really hard to believe. I think Venom Jesus already highlighted the points of like they're probably they thought it was a good business decision putting like black faces in certain areas because it would sell better, what have you. These also happen to have like black problems in those areas, and beyond that, it's because of the areas and not because the people are black. It's because the areas are like impoverished. It's harder to run those stores. It's harder for those stores to be successful, which is putting like the same issues Joe Lewis talked about on those franchise owners. Disproportionate issues on disproportionately black communities and the owners of the McDonald's in those places. The case itself was wild. So they said like what's here between 2014 and 2019, McDonald's terminated 30 black officers and demoted 5. The number of black officers went from 42 to 7. Crazy. And that's what I was gonna end with.
I remember that. Yeah. GSU Gambit. Oh, sorry, hold on, before we go down, Azzy, sorry.
So to what Wiggle was saying, CEO Tamika Neal and Vicky Guster-Hines they feel like they were targeted because when those two people joined the board in 2015, they started implementing policies that was affecting McDonald's that weren't bringing enough income, which adversely affected black CEOs of franchises. So they were purged. White CEOs were affected too, but it just affected black CEOs more. Now the issue presented now is because they're saying we're not making any money in these areas. This what's his name? No. What's his name? Herbert Washington? He's saying I want to build have a McDonald's franchise in a predominantly white area, but they're relegating me to the black areas. And this is why. Oh, so you're closing McDonald's in black areas, but you won't let me go to a white area, and that's the issue. I feel that there is some premise to that statement because if they're affecting black people more, and then they're not letting black people go to areas to increase their income or have advantages, then you can say there's racial bias in it.
Okay. Cheers to Gambit.
Yeah. Some of this was a bit disappointing to me. It had like zero head stuff. Franchises in low income neighborhoods cost more to operate, have a high employee turnout, and are not as profitable. Duh. Like, so some of this in here seems a bit duh, and I don't see, it doesn't make the claims about what's specifically racist that's happening at McDonald's. I think a lot of it is just economics. But I want to hear somebody that's more informed. I didn't see anything that seemed to be yikes to me in these claims, and like maybe I need to be informed. So I want to hear others that have a different opinion for sure.
Go ahead, Polar.
Yeah, I think Venom is right in the sense that it's pretty difficult to prove racist intent. It's extremely difficult when it comes to like the law. Especially in this case, like I don't know, does McDonald's make public how they determine what piece of land a franchisee gets? Because McDonald's owns the land under it, right? So have they ever made public how an individual gets it? Like that's the real question to me, is that if that's public, and if it is, did that match up with his like typical profile? I think that's, if it comes down to it, I think that's probably shed a lot more light on whether this was like had actual racist intent in comparison to saying that like his stores have underperformed and he's been stuck in these locations. I think that's going to demonstrate it really well if that's the case.
All right. Well, let's skip Joe Lewis. He wants it too bad, I think. No, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, there's so much to this story. I wish you guys knew more. There's so much meat in this fucking sandwich. There's the union side of it, right? Because we have the MBMOA, which is basically the largest organization of Black entrepreneurs within McDonald's, and they function specifically with McDonald's, and they bring up lawsuits and they galvanize the community of entrepreneurs at these McDonald's to protest. Like this week, there's a 90-day protest in front of McDonald's headquarters. It's going on as we speak. There's the there's so much. There's the systemic side of these McDonald's being communities, as Gambit laid out, that are just disproportionately fucked. And one of the problems is these entrepreneurs, when they want to span out, they're given what's called, God, what did the McDonald's representatives call it? They try to match entrepreneurs with communities reflective of their other franchises. So basically what that looks like is if you have all these McDonald's in the same city, or in the same type of like environment, they're very skeptical about you branching out to another environment, and they use that to validate the reasons why. There's so much shit, and on top of that, what the reason why this really makes my nipples really hard is because there's also the side of this was a reaction to the Nixon era of like bootstrapping, where like right when the first Black McDonald's erected, geez, I'm getting a little horny over here over this topic.
Remember, we have a child here, okay? Like, watch it. We got to pull it around, all right, buddy?
Yeah. So like when the first McDonald's got erected, then the NBMOA was created like a couple of years later, and then it's like galvanized this idea of Black capitalism. There's so many routes. I'm really excited for this topic, but I will say that it's probably true. Now, if you're gonna beat McDonald's, that's like, look, when it comes to the Kingdom Hearts bosses, this is like one of the true final bosses is fucking Ronald McDonald, right? Like it's a clown, Mickey Mouse, and a dirty bedroom apparently for Jordan Peterson. Like those are some of the final bosses in this Kingdom Hearts game. But anyway. No.
Let's not bring up Jordan Peters. But so Joe, one thing I gotta ask, because I do think like what you laid out, if that's what's happening, there's definitely gonna be some racial bias in decisions. But let's think about the efficacy of the policy, right? If I had, and this is gonna sound terrible, but it's because I want you to tear it apart. It's not that I support it, it's just that I can understand the lens somewhat. If I have a place where people have demonstrated that they're economically successful in this environment, and I have people that haven't presented that they're economically successful, I think that could be the backbone for the policy that McDonald's is laying out. Now, I agree with you that that's going to disenfranchise Black people, right? There's two people trying to get this place, and it's in a white neighborhood or whatever, and this guy has McDonald's here, and this guy doesn't, right? And if I'm betting my money, I'm going to bet my money on the guy who has successful businesses in that place. So I agree that that's going to always have racial undertones to it. But can we see how such a policy could be erected when there's a finite set of McDonald's to put into this neighborhood?
Right. That's why this topic really makes me excited, because there's so much systemic racism in it, but there's also so much just like markets, right? It's the idea of like, okay, are these businesses unsuccessful or struggling because of the owner, or is it because of the conditions that these owners are under? And on one hand, like, this is why I think this whole arc is more of the line of political racism, or closer to political racism. So I define that as decisions and policies that have the impact of disenfranchising a member of a racial group regardless of intent. So for McDonald's, right, like and again, like, I really hope the case comes up this way in court, where I really want them to show, again, I'm not a lawyer. Pisco, you where you at? Dr. K? I'm saying that, like, I think one thing that the case would have to show is like the impact of these policies that McDonald's creates. Because on one hand, oh sure, if you only own a bunch of like places in urban areas, why would we give you a place in the suburbs? But then if you look at all the business owners at large, then it's like, okay, why do all of these business owners and who are also Black, all members of the exact same pseudo union? Because just so I'm clear, I forget what it's fucking called. It's basically the Black national something McDonald's and Black and Entrepreneur, and it's such a stupid name. Fucking Democrats and these lib ass names. But like something that they could show is like, hey, look, we're all these entrepreneurs. We're bringing this lawsuit. We all have these McDonald's in urban areas. What the fuck? And then maybe they could have a case there. Again, I would have to reread the specifics of it. Because at least they're showing visibility of it. You know? I don't know where it fits to answer your question. Like, that's the problem. It's a really easy argument to make, and it's an easy clap.
I think in court this is easy clap. I don't think this is gonna pass, and I think it's gonna the thing that scares me the most is if it's really true that this guy runs his businesses terribly, because they're gonna rip him apart in court showing that. Yeah, it's gonna like detract from the real issue is that it's an economics issue. And we have to learn that, hey, maybe just because this guy isn't as economically viable on paper, we should still give him this opportunity. But if this guy is actually a terrible owner, they're going to rip him apart, and then all of this is going to go away.
Yeah, it's gonna look really optically bad, and like, oh my god, black people can't even run businesses. But all the fucking like racist conservatives out there, like that's the optics that I don't want to see.
Yeah, there could be 1,000 owners worse than him, and the attorneys are still gonna try to paint that picture. That's the whole game. Like, we know that. So that's the reason why I'm not gonna. If I do happen to be able to catch pieces of or read about the case, and the defense is able to tear him up, saying he's shit, I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. Like, that is legit their job.
We are do that, right? But what is the national message gonna be? No, this.
Oh yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
It's not the issue that he's a bad owner. It's just that he's trying to open a franchise in a white area, and he's being blocked. That's his issue. And they're saying it's because of the franchises that he already has, which he has a few. There's like 12 restaurants. I don't think they're all failing. He has 12. Like, they're trying to say because this McDonald's is doing bad, which makes sense. It's doing bad. Like GSU Gambit said, it's in a low-income area. There's high turnover. It's an HR major. If you have high turnover, you don't have enough. If you don't have enough recruitment versus turnover, you're losing money. Like, if, matter of fact, it's at some point, if he had a lot of people being hired at the time, it would make more sense. He could save money by firing bad employees. But if he doesn't have enough employees to begin with, but everybody is always leaving, he's not going to make any money. If the area is bad and people are poor and they're only buying the dollar menu, he's not going to make any money. So it's not that to argue that he's a bad franchise, like a franchisee owner, it's that's what they always argue against us when we're in low income areas. Now, just supposed to see if he was in a white area and he did well, which they don't want to see, then their argument would be out the window. So that's why he's saying, let me into the white area, I'll probably do a lot better than here. Because and that's just generally stores in low income areas. You have high turnover, you don't have enough people on staff. People don't have enough money to buy the expensive stuff. Generally, things aren't well kept unless you're really like focusing, but you're usually in the red for a long time trying to make sure your business is well kept. It's a losing battle in most circumstances.
I found it. I'm so happy I found this. Okay, so I'm very invested in this, but I forgot that the CEO responded. So I'll post it in chat. His response fucking sucked. So my point here is that McDonald's has a long history of just fucking over black people, and what sucks, it sucks but hilarious is that McDonald's does it in the most like McDonald's way possible. So like basically, again, this is a story during COVID that I wish was covered in some type of detail because it was fucking hilarious. So basically, McDonald's CEO did a statement where he basically said that he believed the black business owners are their problems, but he didn't say like black by name. He said like businesses have different problems, and these these allegations are probably true. Then they deleted it, and then he went on this apology tour on like CNBC, NBC. I think he was on Fox News too. Those were really fucking cringe, but they were just like oh god, it's so fun. It's so much fun. I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to give as much context as I can because this
yeah. Okay. So we see we have a problem here. What about the other part of the question, right? Like well, first of all, so let's start two things. One, do you believe him? So I think we were saying we kind of believe this guy, and we can see it happening since McDonald's has a history.
Yeah, I mean, if the facts that he cited are correct, which I mean, reading directly from the lawsuit, right, that they have open, is he's saying in the lawsuit it says, in addition to redlining black franchises into largely low-volume stores in impoverished community, McDonald's has consistently discriminated against black franchisees. This part could be argued, right, that McDonald's has consistently discriminated against black franchisees, but then they cite black owners average around 700,000 less in annual sales per store than white owners. That's a death blow. Like the fact
that's not though.
That's not though.
If those McDonald's are in more profitable areas, of course they're disproportionately earn more.
Black owners average around 700,000 less, and then McDonald's will decide where these owners are going to be located at.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's what he just said.
That's what I'm saying. Listen. If you have black owners in rural black places and you have white owners in like metropolitan areas and whatever, then those white owners are going to average more profit than those black owners.
Wait, Gambit, I think Venom's trying to say that, like, isn't the issue the initial picking of where these areas are? Like, isn't that the difference? Yeah, that's where the difference is. It's like
they pick where these owners are going to like operate at. So like
they don't.
True. You petition to get a McDonald's and McDonald's can approve you. They don't go say, "Hey, Polar, start this McDonald's in whatever city."
Yeah. So wait up. So High Priestess actually left a cool comment in chat saying that his case, he's also going to try to make the case that McDonald's stopped them from buying stores from white franchisees and denying him financial assistance compared to those offered to white operators. So it's like, and then we, as he brought up an earlier story of them punishing other McDonald's for having less revenue. So I'm just saying this is damning because, like, okay, you know what? I get it, Gambit. Like, if these people are being, or if these owners choose to be in these areas and they're making less, it's understandable. But then to turn around and punish them for it, that's wrong. And then to turn around and not allow these individuals to buy in white communities, that's wrong. Or not give them the same financial support, also wrong. So I'm in the side where I'm definitely on his side. I'm believing him. Win or lose, I'm gonna go for bust, and we're gonna see what happens. But overall, to me, this is pretty damning. And even if the results are not like purposely done by McDonald's, I still think they need to address them.
Yeah, I'm not that I uphold what's happening, right? I'm just calling out like the obvious plot holes in some of the logic. Like,
I'm sorry.
So repeat those plot holes.
The idea that the average salary of a black McDonald's worker in rural areas is going to be equivalent to white owners in metropolitan or whatever booming affluent areas.
I wanted to add, like, after reading like what the form and stuff like that, to like start a franchise, you get the option to either like build a new franchise with McDonald's and they'll help you out a bit, but you have to drop guap. Like, I'm talking like
you have to pay them to open.
And like 1.5 million. I've looked into actually starting McDonald's. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is like the cheapest.
Yeah, and then like the other thing is that, or you could buy an existing one, but there's a really specific part of the form that kind of seems problematic in this instance, where like they ask if you've ever had a business failure, and then they ask your relations with other McDonald's, even if you like had someone who worked as an officer in McDonald's or what have you. So then like they can catch you with this, where it's like if you're one of the, like a guy like this that may have like several chains and one of them fail because you're in a bad area, then they could always utilize that on the form and say, well, that counts as a business failure for us, and like lock you out of getting another McDonald's somewhere else.
So let's reframe this, right? And let's add in opportunity zones. So they open up, let me finish. They open up opportunity zones. They advocate for black people to work in these opportunity zones. Then they attack black people for working in opportunity zones by attacking their marketing, attacking their funding, just overall just decreasing their business. As I said, like in 2015, when those two new board members came on, black members of this low income areas were disparately affected. So now we can't even utilize our opportunity zones. So then, you know, what happens is, and that's why he's trying to move to the white zone or to the well-off zone. That's what he's trying to do, because I can't make any money here. But then,
wait, how much? Can I ask you a question? How much money do you think workers at this McDonald's in an opportunity zone would be making to the point where that would spur investment in this area?
At one point, they were making a lot before 2015.
No, I'm talking about the individual workers.
The individual workers are making below minimum wage. That's different. We're talking about the actual black owner.
You're going to talk about
below minimum wage.
Polar, do you see it?
Hold on. But that's to the choice of the franchisee whether what he wants to pay his workers.
Why would as a firm owner, what? Especially for McDonald's standard, why would I want to pay my McDonald's worker like massively above minimum wage?
I don't think you have that.
Yeah. You don't have to pay them above. You pay them at minimum wage. They were just paying them below.
McDonald's is probably like it's a large ass corporation, so they probably have like a regional office, etc. They probably have people that come on from high whenever they see your numbers looking bad to scold you on why your numbers are bad, give you the training, and they'll tell you how much you have to pay your employees.
Yeah, like, so it's much more nuanced than that.
Yeah. So the question I'm trying to ask you, Azzy, is how would like opening up these new McDonald's and opportunity zones help the community?
Well, it's not that it's McDonald's, but no, it's the fact that they're punishing low-income areas, but at the same time telling them to open up in the low-income area. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying. At one point before 2015, that's what they're saying. That's the
who's they?
That's the case.
Are you talking about
Henry Washington?
Okay.
What's the other name? Vicky Guster Hines and D'Amica Neal. They're saying that at one point before 2015, they were somewhat profitable, and then they started attacking the means of them making profit.
So how does that tie into opportunity zones?
Well, that's the point of the opportunity zone. We go in there so we can make profit, so it transitions into the community. But if you're putting me in an area and then not allowing me to make money, then the opportunity zone doesn't benefit me. So that's the racism of the issue. That's the racism of the issue. That's the issue.
I think we see too much opportunities.
I don't know how this. Am I not saying this right? You're telling me it's like saying. So let me set something up. You're telling me I can only swim in the kiddie pool, but then you're draining the water out the kiddie pool and putting it into the deep end, and saying, to boo-hoo, now we have to take away the kiddie pool.
But they're not doing that. Like it seems
yes, they are.
It seems like the problem. It seems like the problem here is that like these locations are bad. Like the areas are bad. It's
but
like so like from a business perspective, like the business failed. You don't want to keep supporting a failing business.
No. They were attacking their means to make money. That's why the business was failing.
So there's another door that I want to make sure that we clear, and maybe Gambit, since he's looking to be a little bit bigoted and buy a Chick-fil-A, he might know what I'm talking about. Restaurants are really God, there's such a finicky development to build shit in, because as a McDonald's, they already have the infrastructure to keep McDonald's keeping on. So basically what that looks like is you'll have like a Domino's pizza closed down just for there to be another Domino's pizza in there. Because one of the problems with McDonald's especially is that they build these structures isolated from each other. And when I mean isolated from like how like it's just like fucking plot of land in a McDonald's. And then the things that are used in there, because it's a restaurant, it's very hard to repurpose. So it's really expensive to just gut these out and build something up. So one of the problems, and I think it's got alluded to, I make it very clear, is that what happens is sometimes the McDonald's will close down, the business owner will like go on to another endeavor, and then they'll just fill it with another business owner. Because I'm saying that's another lawsuit that happened where like one of the problems is that like the stores that are getting open is like, this is available for you to come in. It was already in a failing area, but McDonald's just didn't do a good job at advertising like this is not a good like plot of land to repurpose. But McDonald's is like, shit, we already built it, it's cheap, we just got to get some sorry sucker in there to bring it back.
But I want to make it clear though, these people are petitioning to open these businesses. McDonald's is not finding them and putting them there. So if you haven't done the market research to see that this McDonald's in this neighborhood doesn't bring in income, that's a zero head owner, right? It's just like Polar asked me.
No, that's a moot point. That's a moot point.
No, it's not. Like Polar was saying, hey, our grocery store is a good investment. That's something that me as a potential business owner should look into. Will this grocery store in this area make money? Right?
No, because that's like saying real estate is unprofitable because over the past 30 years, you can look at graphs and real estate.
No, you don't believe in data. It's cool.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Just so we're clear.
That's what I'm saying, Gambit. You're being hyper focused on the data, and the fact that they're opening up the business themselves is a form of opportunity. But it's not the problem that they're opening up the business in the low income area.
So we
actually want them to open up the business in the low income area.
So
it's the fact that they're
attacking
their means to make money in the low income area at the same time of telling them you have to work here.
So we got to try Venom. We got Venom, Wiggle, and Polar. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm reading here the lawsuits, right? Like it seems like they approach the case from various different angles, right? They make the historical point that McDonald's has in the past and continues to steer that you have this divide between white franchises and black franchises, right? And the claim that they're making is that McDonald's purposefully steers black franchises towards determined communities and steers them towards low volume stores, right? So the idea here is that they have this incredible control over the franchises, right? They decide whether or not a franchise is dignified for growth, and whether or not the franchise can buy new stores in different places. So the claim that the lawsuit is making is that McDonald's is racially discriminating against owners to pigeonhole them into being necessarily a black franchise in order to keep this kind of segregationist policy that they keep demonstrating during the lawsuit as I'm reading. And if the historical claims are accurate, it would seem to me that McDonald's has kept a segregationist policy in regards to how they approach white communities and black communities in regards to their franchises. And that it's basically what they're accusing McDonald's of is of doing some sort of corporate redlining kind of deal. So that's kind of what seems to be going on. But then I didn't read the entire thing. I'm just kind of speed reading all over.
Wait, Venom, real quick, Venom. How the fuck did you lose the Prime panel last week? How the fuck did? God damn, these takes are hot and spicy. You got robbed, bro.
Well, he lost to the stream queen. Silly serious, okay? So he lost to worthy opponent.
But he lives in a real country. Come on now.
Oh my goodness, Joe. Hot takes out the window.
Twice in a row, second place twice in a row. That's absurd. That's an outrage.
Let's go to a Wiggle, then Polar.
Yeah, I was gonna say that to Gambit's point, if you are choosing to build a McDonald's franchise, you're working with them as a franchisee and you fill out the form and you do all the paperwork, etc. You drop in mad guap, and a franchise term is 20 years. So it's not you're just saying I'm gonna build this thing and see how it goes. That's a 20-year investment, and you're also putting in that much money. That's damn near a mortgage or some shit. So it's at that point you have to And so at that it's milli or 2 milli on this or something. So it's you have to really be a good at least make a good financial business investment. There's some onus on the owner. And then beyond that, to that point, if there's certain areas or communities that are more profitable, then fucking build the McDonald's in that area and then go drive there and then drive back home in the community you live in, because you're trying to profit off the business, right? So if you know that if you're going to make that investment and you know that a certain area is more profitable and you're putting forth that money, put it in whatever community makes the most money, because if your goal is money, then you want to make the most money out of it. So
are you just being objective? Are you talking to his perspective? Are you talking to Henry Washington? Or are you talking?
I've never spoken to Herbert Washington or whatever in my life. No.
I'm talking to his issue. His issue is he wants to go there.
Yeah, so like my thing here is that like if he's buying the franchise, like if he's setting up the location, that's a different process. That's a different process than if you're just trying to buy a location. So the guy that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure was trying to buy a location, and that's why he was privy to the locations that were available and like the locations that he could purchase. And that's like that's separate from like if he just has money, nothing's stopping him from trying to just create a location with more capital and work with McDonald's.
No.
There's like two different processes.
I thought we already established that he has to apply for a location.
That's not necessarily true.
On the 27th paragraph of the lawsuit, it says McDonald's alone, and it's under the what's the name of the section? The unequal power between franchisor or franchisee relationship, right? It's basically criticizing the certain terms of the deals, right? On the 27th, it says McDonald's alone.
Real quick. Post the link because I don't have the ability to read what you're reading. So
okay, I'm gonna post the link on the thing. There you go. So it says McDonald's alone determines whether franchisees are eligible for growth, whether they can acquire new stores, and rewrite whether they will be granted a new lease to continue operating their existing stores when their 20-year terms expire. They can also refuse like the thing, right? They can also refuse
Jesus is with the hot takes.
Yeah, so tell me with this understanding, right? Like I understand this is the case, so it's going to be biased, but they're giving the most information. That's what you pay for. At this point, like tell me who's going to like deny someone who says, "Hey, I want to build a McDonald's here, and I'm going to drop anywhere from 1.3 to 2.3 million dollars and sign up for 20 years to put this here, just because." Like I can see why the lawyers would try to push that sentiment because they're going to do their best. But like, if I come up to you and you have a sure thing at McDonald's, that's clear like a sure thing. People just wake up, and there's people out there that still think McDonald's fries taste good because of McDonald's. McDonald's is like magic. There's a reason they call it the Golden Arches. And I drop 1.3 to 2.3 million dollars and sign for 20 years to set up a location somewhere, and then you're gonna tell me like no because of like what, like the color of my skin or what have you. It's like money be green. And if I'm in a location that's profitable, like it just makes more sense, you know.
But they're barring him because they're saying he was a bad business owner. They're not on paper. They're saying because he was a bad business owner, we're not going to allow you to come to this area. But it's because of his circumstance that he's not profitable. That issue.
So then, yeah, so this falls into what we were talking about before, where it's like in the case, they have to showcase that he is a bad business owner. And then that's what they're going to do. Like B-More was saying a while ago, is that they're going, no matter what, they're paid to make him look like a very bad business owner. And then in the other side, he's going to show that, no, he was just like doing the best he could, but because of the situation that McDonald's put him in, he was set to fail. And then because of the regulations, like I was showing the franchise document, they're going to showcase that, like, okay, because he failed the business in the past, they're going to lock him out of buying a new franchise. But like at the same time, it's like it goes back to the point is like, if I got that guap, I got that money, right? Why wouldn't you give me this location if he was trying to buy one and set up a new shop? This only makes sense if in the case of Herbert Washington, because Herbert Washington was trying to buy an existing location, right?
Nah, Wiggle. They're saying because he's a bad business owner. Even if he had the money, they wouldn't allow him. I'm pretty sure he has the money if he's attempting to buy a location. I'm assuming this, but he's attempting to buy a location in a predominantly white, well-off area. But they're barring him from doing it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like buying an existing location versus setting up.
What they're accusing of doing is of racially steering, right? So the logic of that would be that what they allegedly did on the 60s, right? Which would be like, you're a black owner and you have a McDonald's, cool. So from now on, every time you make a claim to go on a white area, I'm just gonna say no, because we know that you still want to make money. So we know that we will invest more money eventually. So you will become a black franchise. You will become a black franchise. You're going to invest that money anyway, since you are already a McDonald's.
God.
Already part of the franchise, and then you're going to do what we want you to do. Since we
so they're robbing the black community. That's what you heard, Venom.
No, they're forcing.
Claims,
I'm
right?
reading it.
The idea is that they're steering the owners into restricting themselves to low volume stores. So that's the claim, right? That's their reasoning. For doing that would be the same reasoning that they would use in the 60s or the 70s. The reasoning of like just plain and simple racial discrimination, right? It's just what it would be.
Actually, Venom, the black nationalist in me it's a little pushing back a little bit. It's making me think that listen, like you're gonna work black owned, you're gonna own black owned, and god damn it, you're going to have employees who are black owned. I just imagine a clown just like asserting these things to fucking Herbert Washington.
Yeah, this is fuck. Is this fuck? I'm not sure because I was reading while you were saying that last part. Like, yeah, you know, they're saying that like they weren't. Did you mention the advertising thing yet?
No, yeah. I haven't.
Yeah, so
real quick, everybody. Like, I gotta peace out. I have a buddy who's going through some shit. If everybody here can read the chat and know what's going on. So, thank you for inviting me. Van Wiggle, Venom, you're a champion in my heart. Joe, you always kick ass. I love your streams. Yes, you Gambit. Fuck you. No, I'm fine. I love it. And Polar's always dropping nothing but the hottest drama. Like, you gotta check it out. The titles are not clickbait. They're not clickbait. And
true.
Every damn time. Capital C Records. All right, I'm out of here.
Yes, Capital C Records.
I want to make sure. Sorry, Venom, finish your point. Thank you. Venom, finish your point, and then I want to make sure Polar jumps in here because he has had a lot of them.
I was making the point that like they're saying basically that they dropped off during that time that I was saying that they're getting rid of all these black business owners during that 4-year period. They were getting rid of advertising in like unprofitable communities, which happened to be where like the black business owners were and like those specific McDonald's were in black areas. But all of the franchise owners had to pay into a fund collectively so that they could do this collective advertising. So you're essentially having these people be discriminated against in that fashion, where part of the money that they're paying for their franchise fees were then for advertising was then going and only being put in like white areas and benefiting like the McDonald's in white communities, and they had to pay into it, which is kind of fucked.
Yeah, Polar.
Yeah, those claims in the lawsuit are completely fucked.
Polar,
right?
Yes. I was just gonna say that it seems very difficult. I don't know. Like I was initially just gonna. We've kind of moved past this, but like I was just gonna talk about like I know Azzy had brought up the opportunities and stuff, and I wanted to go a little bit further into that. But like the way that I think about it is like, do we even really want another one of these businesses? Like, do we really want another McDonald's? In a goddamn opportunity? Nah, not really. So I gotta be honest, I don't want one of those.
Stop feeding your kids McDonald's.
Yeah, like I don't know if like having goddamn 20 McDonald's in a community like to have then go to 30. I mean like, oh my god, look at the capital gains. Oh my god, look at all the black kids just like a Happy Meal in hand, saving their economy, right? Like
Yeah, and also too, right? Like one of my concerns is McDonald's also again, like there's so much. I love this topic so much, guys.
Me too.
I'm gonna start crying. It has everything that this panel has to offer. Like so, something that I strongly recommend everybody doing, which is terrifying. Google McDonald's in your area because they do the same practices that Walmart does. So what they do is when they build one McDonald's, they tend to build it at the edges of tri-state areas. However, you'll notice that in suburban areas they tend to widen that gap. I forget what it's called. They brought it up like when I was still working at A&P, when I was an actual member of a union. Rest in peace, unions. Where like one of the problems is with these businesses is that they build them so close to each other that they're kind of in competing areas, but it's like right at the edge of being competitive. But they basically do. This kind of fits in this arc, yet, but I'm not too sure where.
I mean, well, then the location of the McDonald's is very, like you said, it's intentional because the McDonald's itself sometimes will bring down the value of a community. Like you don't in a suburb itself, you won't find a McDonald's. You would have to travel like 45 minutes to like the local mall area, the food court area. But in like a low income area, you can find a McDonald's and all those fast food chains on every single, like they're right there smack dab in the middle of the community. So it's intentional.
Well, also too, we got to understand that like one thing that I think a lot of people get kind of mixed up is that the suburbs, and what we know is suburbia, is not really designed for businesses to exist in its current infrastructure.
True.
So they're designed to travel out to your community at large. So one of the problems with these suburban McDonald's, as I live in an area with a suburban McDonald's, first off, it's fucking lit. The fucking the frosty machine, the frosty stay flowing. But one of the problems is it's incredibly difficult to get to if you don't have a car. And like there's other problems with it, right? Where they found that the as you are alluding to, Azzy, but they don't really have proof, is that the businesses around the McDonald's are not very, what's the word? They're kind of trash. I mean, in the nicest way possible. So what happens is like McDonald's has this weird relationship with like other businesses around it, which is tend to be why they build like by themselves and near like other things of businesses. But like, again, like it's weird, man. Like
no, it's not. It's like I said, it's because we have proof. You have like in every Black Studies professor has wrote their thesis. In fact, I can clearly direct you to Regina Bernard from Baruch College in New York, who has done her thesis on food deserts and the location of fast food chains in low income areas. It's purposeful. It's because it's quick, it's convenient, it's not that good for you, but it's cheap. So we're gonna keep coming to it. At the same time, they're like I was saying, they're siphoning money slowly out of our area. It's like, and they're diverting it to other areas. So it's basically by keeping black and low income areas down, and protecting high income, wealthy white areas. And that's that's the premise. That's the premise.
Yeah, I would argue to not even racialize it, right? I would say something along the lines of McDonald's doesn't really give the same type of opportunities that other businesses give. And one of the problems is McDonald's tends to appear in places that aren't really economically prosperous. So what that looks like is if your area doesn't have a grocery store, you're more likely to see a McDonald's in that area. The reason why I worry about racialization here is because I don't want to see. I want there to be better food. Again, it's like a side thing. I want to see better food opportunities for Americans. Like, and McDonald's has found a way to give Black business owners a way of creating wealth for them, which is great. But it's
not about the quality of the food. It's the fact that it's a business itself. One person wanted to open the business. It's business is still business, you know.
Right, but I'm saying like the business isn't really solving the problem of the community. It's kind of putting a band-aid, right?
No, but like, no. At one point it was.
Sure, but we got to remember, like, what do we see now? We have McDonald's trying to do the heavy lifting for like communities' problems. So like if you're in an area that has like, again, like I want to make it as clear as possible. Like the suburbs, as they're structured, you're very rarely going to see a McDonald's or really any business outside of things that are kind of like corporatized. Again, I'm oversimplifying this so people understand it. Like you're more likely to see a McDonald's in a city than you are in like the suburbs of like X area.
Okay, so yeah. So okay. So someone said socioeconomics. All right. That's valid. It's not about racial. Okay.
No. I think it's more that
we forget one part is that McDonald's is like all over the globe. It's like one of America's greatest accomplishments. There's over
greatest accomplment, to be clear.
One of like 30. One of like it has over like I'm reading the thing here.
Godzilla lover.
I googled it like you were saying. Like there's over 38,000 like of these McDonald's establishments all over the entire like world. And it's not just an American thing. It's like we're selling it. I remember reading when I was like in high school about how like they put some McDonald's in like in China, and it was really weird because apparently the people in those areas were eating at home. They didn't really have the same idea we had of like drive-throughs and such. but they would come out and try the McDonald's, and that's like the thing that we have. It's like one of our big exports, and we generate so much money from it, and it does provide like an avenue for people to just find some work. There's problems with McDonald's, but why doesn't necessarily do like we focus on McDonald's changing those things instead of just having something better to compete with it? Why not just have like I know this is going off on a tangent, like a federal job guarantee or something else? Have it utilize the government to compete with McDonald's instead of changing McDonald's.
Whoa, so social programs?
Hold on, Polar.
Yeah, so this is actually like there's a very long history in corporate social ethics, right? So like what you guys are describing is like for a couple of reasons. It's the same thing that happens with like nonprofits. When the government isn't able to address a problem or like a social issue, a lot of times that goes up in the air, but it's not like it's completely ignored. So a lot of times businesses like people will go to businesses to try to solve these problems. That's why like charity and like like social goods and like social events start to happen, and they're just not as effective. It doesn't seem like regular corporate social ethics can address the problems that the government was once able to. So when Wiggle specifically refers to this, like this is like a very long this is like a very long problem. It started out like like after the stock market, we had corporations used to not only care about their like profits, but they cared about their employees, their shareholders, their stockholders, so like individual families who are buying, so stakeholders, and the community. So they cared about those things. But after Ronald Reagan, after Milton Friedman, they generally only care about their shareholders at this point, and making profits to return to them. So like it's an interesting economy of what we expect. Who's supposed to take on these social roles? Like who's supposed to provide like the social welfare? Who's supposed to do this? Who's supposed to do that? But like no matter who it is, the cost come to us at some point. Whether if McDonald's can't provide the social support needed, that's like we're subsidizing that with welfare. If the government can't do it, then like we're taking on the cost of like the society as a result. Whether that be like increased crime, like all of these things. It's like a very long-winded, like it's a really interesting conversation in and of itself. But there are a lot of intricacies in this point. And I think Joe brings up a really good point when it comes to suburbs. He's completely right. The frequency of McDonald's, like if you go like by like every couple of square miles, is so much higher in a city in comparison to a suburb, and like the zoning is much more different. So you got to drive farther, all that stuff. I was actually talking about that on my stream for the majority of time after talking about what was it, like the really important stuff? Yeah, exposing the truth about the DMs released yesterday. So I was talking about that was like the last 5 minutes we were talking about suburbs and stuff. So I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
Right.
So
but this
go ahead, Wiggle, please.
This is gonna be affected probably by like the pricing in those specific areas and suburbs versus like cities, and then beyond that, like it'd probably be affected by like the average amount that somebody pays. Like I live in a suburb area, and I imagine like just because of the distance itself, people going to those McDonald's will probably spend more at the McDonald's, and they have more to spend. They have more disposable income versus like in a city, if it's easily accessible and I can get there without a car, I'll just go to buy like a hash brown because I want a hash brown and keep walking. Or there's more competition. There's more competition because it's in a city.
Okay.
But that in itself won't affect.
We are at the end of time for this particular panel, but to my audience, the stream is not over. The stream's not over. Oh God, the stream is not over. We are going to roll into our open walk-on panel right after this, right? And that's where honest members like you, yes, you, sitting there at home, can be involved, can take part in. So we're just gonna do that. So stick around. But first, I'm gonna give these amazing people an outro. We will start with the MVP. His name is Joe Lewis. Joe Lewis, thank you for coming through. And bring in all this knowledge and his passion to especially McDonald's. Apparently, I don't know why, but but thank you for all that.
Yeah. So I guess I'll make like a little brief closing on this. The reason why I have such like an invested interest in McDonald's is because it's everything that's wrong with America compiled into one just company. It's got everything. If you want racism, it's got that. You get sexism, it's got that. If racist targeted advertisements, it's got that. Problematic toys given to children so that they get soft canceled and come back, it's got that. Corporate greed, it's got that. Shout out to the J Babin meal. Like it has all of the shit just compiled into one thing. And then also what's funny is that, and this will make the last thing, and I'll like show my shit, is that I want to see how I say this in like the if my argument for being for markets would change if McDonald's could just fucking figure its shit out, because it's weird to say that it's done a lot for Black Americans while at the same time just fucking them over. So I want to find a way of like a happy medium for McDonald's. And listen, man, like if Herbert Washington wants to make sure that he has a valid reason, just somewhere in the statement he has to say our vending our frosty machines work. They're never broken. Like, and then it's like shit. He has a successful business. But anyway, my channel is twitch.tv, Joe Lewis, Oza Zero. Communities have a lot of overlap, so you're like, yeah, so yeah. Glad to be here.
Thanks so much, dude. Really appreciate it. Next, Venom Jesus. Look, audience members, this man is in need desperately of new technology, right? They're barely just exiting the industrial age over there in Brazil, right? Like they need a little help, all right? You see, I mean, you can see it for yourself. So if you could help this man out, you could maybe go over to his channel. I don't know. But he never actually streams it because again, the lack of technology. Donate to him. That might help. Venom Jesus, thanks for being here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would love to get like put my PC next to me, just like wiggle, but then I just start coughing because it's cold powered. You know, it's as far as the rest of the thing, I'm gonna say, dude, I started this conversation being like, I'm gonna read this lawsuit, I'm gonna lawyer up because that's what my degree is for. And at the end of the conversation, I was just hungry. I'm just like, dude, I want my fucking my Mac picanha. I'm like, this is how they get us, you know? They have this fucking hamburger that's specifically for Brazil. It's like a Mac picanha, it's a steak burger, it's very good. And now this conversation, I'm like, I'm just hungry, Prime. I'm sorry. And thank you, chat. As always, you're great. And thanks for the rest of the panel. I'm gonna get out of it. I'm gonna fucking make me a burger. Holy shit.
Next, we have Wiggle. Thank you for coming through. You got really activated there for a second. It was fun. Wiggle, thank you again for the help you do to put this all together. Wiggle, tell the world about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Wiggle. That's all you really need to know about me. Please don't go further. And then I don't stream. Follow all the people here. They're all pretty awesome. Also, I just want to say, like, I'm thinking about it just from the perspective of Venom Jesus now. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to like a McDonald's, and if there's like a Black employee there, I might be like, hey, did you hear about this case? And while I like talk a little bit about it, person's gonna sweat, do this with the headphone or headset they have. They're gonna be like, sir, there's people behind you. Could you just and I'm just gonna have to go through, and then that's the problem with this country. So you can read these excellent articles and be like, wow, employees must care about the place they work. You go there and you ask them, they don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay. Let's go to Azzy.
All right, so you guys have heard it here. These Godzilla loving Abraham Lincoln statue narrative protecting McDonald's eating, but yet everything's wrong with McDonald's.
True.
Those Frosties keep flowing, huh, Joe Lewis? You've heard it here first, guys.
Listen, you make a Shamrock Shake. You make a Shamrock Shake, okay?
Golly, I want one of those so badly.
See that, Gambit? You don't get mad at Lewis.
I gave up.
So nah, I appreciate you guys for having me here. My name is Azzy. You can find me at twitch.tv/Azzy. It might be _Ohm. You can find me at Twitter, same thing. Instagram, same thing. I'm on TikTok. I'm starting off on TikTok. I might keep going. I don't know how it is. If China, finally stops spying on us, maybe I'll go further. Yes, TikTok is owned by China, guys. If you didn't know. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys, and King Kong all the way. King Kong all the way.
That's been experience.
Look at the liberals.
Been a true experience here.
They just cringing in their seats.
Let's go Polar, my man. Thank you for coming. Thank you again for the help that you've also did to make this happen tonight. Couldn't do it without you. Polar, tell the world about yourself.
Yeah, I am the #1 drama streamer on Twitch. Every day there's drama. If you want to know what's going on, if you like to be drama frog, if you want all that good content that no one else is talking about, you're more than welcome in my community. We are covering everything, and I mean, there's no such thing as a safe DM in my community. Okay, everything gets leaked. Everyone is getting canceled. You better watch, okay? And if you aren't, you're next, okay?
My
I'm
man's the
streaming
BET
Monday,
of
4:30
Twitch,
p.m.
bro.
Huh?
The BET of Twitch, bro. The
True.
MTV.
Yeah. Yeah. And then lastly, I'd like to thank some of my Capital C record shareholders. I'm talking about Leah in chat. Thank you. We're making good money, straight up.
Nice.
These guys are in the pockets of all the lawyers and corporations. Don't believe them.
Do you want to be canceled, Azzy? You want to be canceled? You want to be the
I agree with them.
spread
I agree
positivity.
I agree with them. In the words of our Lord Infrared, all this is just a fake channel. Y'all are just like paid for by you're just paid for to just represent socialism badly. You don't have that capital C communism.
Yeah. Azzy, I'm dominating you right now. How does that make you feel? You got dominated in this debate.
I was just trying to morph you into
dominate me, bro.
This is what the left looks like, but
if it was
a capital C communism.
If we were on the ones, it was just one-on-one, it'd be a different story. But you got your boys with you, your boy Joe and Gambit and Wiggle. And
listen, buddy, the Discord's always open.
And the man silenced me. Y'all didn't know behind the scenes I was silenced. Y'all don't know. The system's rigged. So I'm a right here. This is prime real estate. This panel's prime real estate. This is an opportunity zone. You will not silence me.
Gavit. I feel like you have something to say about all this. Gavit, thanks for coming through and helping out and being here. Gavit, what do you have to say about what's been happening?
Yeah. So first, I just want to say, happy to be here. Appreciate Polar and Wiggle reaching out to me to be here. And helping out Prime during this transition. So I know it's been difficult. Prime, if you ever need something from me, definitely let me know. But as long as y'all keep writing these George Soros checks, I'll be here to combat ads for sure. Like Joe was saying, I think the McDonald's thing does highlight a lot of things that Black business owners do. Just like Polar was like asking me about looking into starting a grocery store that I'm thinking about starting. One of the factors that I have to think about is that all of these farmers near my hometown are white, and I will be competing with a white business owner. And would they give me equitable prices and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of things that Black business owners face and have to deal with. I don't know how easy it'll be to prove some of these things in like a court of law, which is why I'm kind of doomed on this case, but I'm hoping that something happens. But Black business owners definitely face a lot. And I definitely appreciate being here as always. Azzy, even though we go at it, we appreciate your voice, I guess, if I had to be.
Gambit, you gotta just pull it, Amy Coney Barrett, man. You gotta adopt the white son or daughter, and then you just gotta go that angle, man.
As long as a child has a home, I'm happy for you, Gambit.
Cool.
Show up every business meeting with your kids in the back.
Yeah, right.
Make sure to bring the right one as well.
The right one. Oh man. But yeah. Okay. Wow, this has been an experience. Everyone, thank you all for being here. Thank audience members for being here. Again, we're gonna go on to a walk-on panel. Anyone here on this panel is welcome to join us, but if not, that's okay. Thank you for spending your time, your energy, your passion, your knowledge with my community. I know they appreciate it just as much as I do. Have a good one, guys.
Hold on, Prime. Hold on, real quick.
Oh God.
You see this bar right here? This is when I become affiliate. I need 4 more people. If you want me to make money so I can support Prime, see, this is how generational wealth works. It's group economics. This is group economics. You laugh, but it's true. If I make money, Prime makes money.
I feel like shit, bro. Because it's like we have more people than that on the panel.
I think I already follow chat.
It's 4 people.
Just post it in chat. Everyone will follow. Just post it in chat.
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you do it one more time?
We shout out as the right there. Click the link and apparently become a follower. Oh, see, it's audio going up.
I love you guys. I love you. See
And
that? Black people. Venom Jesus too. Venom always trying to play like he's different.
Give me a second.
Venom's one of us.
He is one of us. He's actually one of us.
What made me black?
Finally, right?
Okay. All right.
Hey, hold on 1 second, bro. Let us know when you make affiliate so we can unfollow. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh man! Wow.
I'm playing, bro. All love.
Like I said, this has been an experience. You'll have to decide whether it was a good or bad one, but it's been an experience. All right. Well, bye.